All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Market Open. It is Thursday, June 20th, 8:46 a.m. We are here. We are live once again for the Market Open. It was a rough day yesterday because there was nothing to do other than wish that the market was open. And you know what I did yesterday? Actually, you know what I did? Honestly, I woke up, I think at like 8 a.m. or something, or 7:30ish, and I just laid in bed for a little bit. And then I just went for a walk. I just decided to go outside. It was like 9:24, and I was like, well, 6 minutes before, usually we would get ready to ring the bell, and I was just walking outside. So it was a good day. Got to walk around, relax. Hope everyone got to take some time off at least, or relax, or do whatever they needed to do. Market's open again. And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. The first 20 minutes of this Market Open, we're going to talk about this one company, this little company you guys might have heard of. I've been, a little obsessed about this company for the past couple of years, but I've been obsessed for a good reason. And hopefully other people that have found this channel and engaged with the content have also been a little obsessed for a good reason. This is one of those days where the first 20 minutes of the show is going to be about Palantir, because we have a lot to discuss around Palantir. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Real quick, let's look at the price action. Then we'll get into why this is happening. Nvidia, by the way, 140. We got a lot to talk about Nvidia as well. We have a lot to talk about the macro as well. The UK bank, the Bank of England, they did not cut rates. So we'll talk about that. And there's a lot of other price upgrades and just a ton of different stuff we have to talk about. But Palantir, 26.44. in the pre-markets. I think, let me say this right now, maybe it doesn't happen, maybe it does. I really think there is a shot for 27. I think there's a shot for 27 today. Will that be sustainable? Will it top out at 27 and then fall back down? Will it run from 27 to 28? 27.50 is the 52-week high. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think 27 is possible. The reason I think 27 is possible is not because of anything fundamental. I was writing this on Twitter this morning, but at this point, what's happening with Palantir, fundamentals have been ignored to a large extent in the context of valuation. Now, there's a couple of deals we got this morning, and we have to talk about that, and I think that is a catalyst for the stock price movement right now. But in general, I believe breaking that $25 barrier, Nvidia heading to 140, now you're getting a lot of people that don't care about Palantir. They don't know about Palantir. They quite frankly probably don't even know who Alex Karp, Peter Thiel, they just know Palantir equals AI. AI's in an uptrend, and they're coming in. And as investors, quite frankly, when you're invested in one of the coolest companies on the planet, you get the benefit and the privilege. Some people think this is a bad thing. I'm like, why do you think this is a bad thing? This is just the nature. If it's a real company and people start entering in and they don't know anything about the company, but they want to buy shares, that just means your company's really cool. Now, if it's GameStop or AMC, where the company's not there's nothing there, then you've just got a lot of degenerates being degenerate. But when you've got people being degenerate on a company that actually matters, as a long-term shareholder, you deserve to get rewarded from other people's greed, because at the end of the day, you picked this company to invest in the first place, and you picked it not because you thought it would run up off of degeneracy. You picked it because you thought there was something real there. And it definitely helps when people start getting excited about a company like Palantir, Nvidia, et cetera, even if they don't really care about valuation or anything like that, and they start buying shares. And on that same day, we get two deals. Those two deals is what I want to talk about now for a little bit, because those two deals, quite frankly, if you're a brand new shareholder, which trust me, there are probably hundreds of thousands of people waking up this morning. Palantir right now, volume is 931,000 on Robinhood. Overnight, it was about 350,000. By the way, 26.48. So now we got to a new high just now in the pre-markets. There are hundreds of thousands of people that are waking up right now saying, "Oh, Palantir, interesting." They're Googling Palantir. They might be going on Twitter. They might be coming across some Palantir posts, and they're seeing two brand new contracts, not huge contracts, but still two contracts. And they think, oh, it's already an uptrend. There's a cup and a handle on the technical analysis. I'm not the most amazing at technical analysis, but there is a cup and there is a handle. And from what I understand from my technical analysis friends, what male astrology suggests is that means we're going higher. And you got two new deals today. And so those two new deals definitely help Palantir. The S&P 500, 550. It also achieved Tom Lee's June target. That helps as well. So you've got a lot of catalysts making me believe 27 is possible. Palantir might turn 27 before I turn 27. I turned 27 in October. Palantir might end up turning 27 before me. Okay, we got SMCI news as well. There's a lot to cover today. Today's going to be a long stream. We got a lot to talk about. But first, let's discuss and go in depth on what happened with Palantir. We also have some Bitcoin news, MicroStrategy news. So let's start off with the first deal we got today. So I got this deal. Shout out to whoever DM'd me this, because it was I tweeted this before Palantir even PR'd this. It was 6:09 where I tweeted this. And it's because this community is so awesome and I constantly get due diligence and we crowdsource it. So thank you for the person that sent me this. The Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health Centers. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize I spelled that wrong. Oh, no. It's not health centers. For health enters. Oh, sorry. So the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health enters into a $19 million contract with Palantir for their AIP platform. AIP and Foundry will support the Young Health Research Agency's data infrastructure and track the progress of its programs. This is a 2-year deal for $20 million. A little bit more from this. Under the 2-year contract, ARPA-H will deploy Palantir's AI platform and Foundry software to rapidly collect, synthesize, analyze, and make decisions from a range of data sources, according to a release shared with FedScoop ahead of the announcement. These tools will be used with a variety of agency operations, including with performance data related to ARPA-H programs to help the agency track progress and make decisions. Alstar Thompson, the acting director of data innovation at ARPA-H, told FedScoop that when it comes to internal operations, the agency's goal is to be very data-driven. Obviously, that's why they're working with Palantir. We want to find what is revolutionary, not evolutionary. Oh, that's a good line. And so to do that, we've got to understand really what is in the state of the art in a particular field. And so that comes with a lot of data. So not like the biggest contract in the world. It's further going to the healthcare sector and public health and things of that nature. So $19 million contract, 2-year deal, good, good contract. Nothing more to say other than nice to see that happening. We spike up to 26.30 once that happens in the pre-market. Spike up to 26.30. Then about an hour later, we got Carl Quintana who retweeted this. If you guys know him, he's on CNBC. We got the retweet today from him about Tom Lee. After that, and then we got MicroStrategy. They bought 11,000 Bitcoin. We got a lot to talk about. After that, we get a new contract. Starlab Space announces a strategic partnership with Palantir Technologies. Starlab Space and Palantir will leverage data modeling through digital twins and AI technologies to enhance Starlab's operations throughout the enterprise. Using Palantir's technology, Starlab will be able to identify potential issues and predict maintenance, helping extend the lifespan of critical components. Reading a little bit more from this, so quote from the CEO of Starlab, Palantir's advanced AI technologies will revolutionize how space stations are managed and operated. Further, Palantir's expertise in data analytics and predictive modeling will drive innovation and efficiency across the entirety of our joint venture. Together, we are poised to advance the frontiers of space research and ensure we remain resilient, effective, and adaptive as we forge this new era of commercial space exploration. So that is a hell of a quote. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about Starlab. Here's what Karp said. Starlab is a commercial leader working to solve some of the most complex engineering and operational challenges in the exploration of space. We cannot be more enthusiastic about our partnership as we work to extend our competitive edge throughout the provision of decisive and real-time intelligence around the world and in space. Where's Palantir right now in the pre-markets? Palantir, wow, 26.59. 26.59. Okay, so first of all, for those that don't understand what I just read, and it is a little bit complicated, the point is Palantir is doing some really cool shit. So I don't fully understand this company. I've heard of this company before. Ironically, I just did a podcast on Rocket Lab yesterday with Matt, so you guys can check that out. Starlab. This is the company. Starlab is a U.S.-led transatlantic joint venture that is designing, building, and will operate the Starlab commercial space station. So at a bird's eye view, without digging super deep into the company, they're a commercial space station. They decide they want to use Palantir, the company that we've been talking about for 3 years, to manage the entire operating system from a data analytics perspective for this enterprise, which happens to be not BP, not Airbus, but an entire space station. I mean, that's pretty fucking cool, dude. Like that's pretty. Everyone, like sometimes when people compare Palantir to other companies and they're like, well, why is Palantir getting the multiple and the revenue growth? Is like, dude, it's fucking cool. It's really cool. At the end of the day, they're doing cool shit. And what is investing? Investing, I mean, at least for a new generation of investors, and that's not just retail, you're talking about hedge fund, Wall Street, they want to invest in cool shit. By the way, Snowflake, I think it's up a little bit right now in the pre-market. Snowflake, Palantir 2660. Snowflake is up 0.46%. When Snowflake was $150 in December of 2022, Palantir was $6. Wall Street picked Snowflake. They did not pick Palantir. I and the 930 people here in the chat picked Palantir in December of 2022. We got it right. We're up 4x. Wall Street is down because Snowflake that was at 150 is now at 128. I'm using Snowflake as an example here to say Wall Street went with SaaS names that they thought were predictable, that made sense, that fit all the cookie cutter boxes that they wanted to pick. Retail took a shot on Karp, and Karp has been very grateful for that. And the reason we took a shot on Karp is because even though the stock was at $6, the Star Lab type of deal, we were getting deals like that. Remember Satellogic? A lot of people forget about that. April of 2022, that was another satellite deal we got. Remember Trafigura? Trafigura was a carbon emissions raw materials tracking company. That was another really cool deal we got in May of 2022 when the stock was $8, but it was a cool fucking deal. So those deals that we were getting are very similar to the deals we're getting today. One deal in healthcare, one deal in space in a couple of hours. It makes the street more excited about Palantir. Now, what does this mean for the broader thesis of Palantir more broadly? The first thing I said in the first video I ever posted on Palantir on YouTube was that I think their software, and I had a very elementary understanding of the company, but my analysis was I think the software can be used in every vertical, across every industry, across the entire world. That was my kind of core basic thesis. We're kind of seeing that play out. Healthcare and space, two vastly different dimensions in terms of how, they would use data analytics, are being used for staffing, scheduling, predictive maintenance. There's just so many different things that are going on in the context of how these companies can use Palantir. These industries can use Palantir. And that's why Palantir is getting the benefit of the doubt from Wall Street and getting the premium. 26.59 on Palantir, up 3% in the pre-market. It was up 3% on Tuesday. Market cap right now is going to be closer to $60 billion when the market opens. We'll see how the run goes, if it gets sold off as soon as it opens, if more entrants come in. But the two deals we got this morning are, I believe, the reason, along with Nvidia pumping and the S&P going higher, for why Palantir is getting this premium right now. And sometimes the valuation might not make sense. I will fully acknowledge that as an objective bull on the company, that, you're going to be paying 30 times price to sales if you start buying at $26.50. That's a tough premium to pay for 21% year-over-year growth. I get that. I acknowledge that. However, that doesn't mean the market can't decide they want to pay that premium, or new people in the market that have not got exposure to Palantir, want to buy that. I mean, if you just look at Nvidia, and we'll transition to Nvidia in a second, people are willing to pay $140. This is $1,400 pre-split that people are basically willing to pay at $3.34 trillion. Nvidia, now the most valuable company on the planet, because they don't have enough exposure to Nvidia. And if you're in Palantir early or Nvidia early, you get the benefit of having other people chase as you sit on your shares. So not bad. Not bad at all. All right, that's what we got in the world of Palantir. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. What are you guys feeling right now? Also, we haven't done this in a while. Comment where you're watching from. Let's do that for a second. Comment where you're watching from. Vince, thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. Stocks with Dallas, is Palantir hitting 27 today? I think there's a chance, dude. If there was any day in the market where Palantir could run, remember last time we ran to 27, we got the Titan contract, and Bank of America loved it, upgraded us, all that stuff. Today, two deals, S&P, Nvidia, inflation's coming down, macro's okay. If there was any day we would pump, I think it would be today. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's a shot today. Okay, where do we have people watching from? We got Timothy in Taiwan. See, now I'm using the iPad for something useful. I can actually see the chat right here. See, I'm actually, by the way, never forget. This is we have, dude, I made this the wallpaper. I made this wallpaper in December. We've just never changed the wallpaper because it's like, why change the wallpaper when this guy might make you rich? Okay, so let's get to the comments. All right, so we got, what do we got? We got Jason from Cleveland. We got another Jason from Arizona. Kevin from Massachusetts. I don't know if you're saying that to make me say the word or you're trying to be funny there, but shout out to Massachusetts. We got Gene from Delray Beach. We got Torben from Denmark. Derek from Orange County. Braden from Missouri. Mike from Europe. Duffer one from Sarasota. General Weenus from Brooklyn. Portugal in the house. Thailand, Mexico. I love it. I love it. Love it. Got global Palantir investors across the world and investors in general across the world. Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. We got Carson City, Nevada. Shout out to Sticky Monkey. I actually scheduled the stream for 8:45 p.m. So shout out to Sticky Monkey. He DM'd me and he was like, bro, you gotta do it in the morning because we got some breaking news. So we have to change that to the morning. Thank you all for being here. Marcelo from Vegas, Bermuda, Nigeria, Sacramento. I love it. All right. So that's what we got in the world of Palantir. We're going to see how the price opens up. But right now we're looking at 26.54, $57 billion market cap. We'll see how things open up. But that is the news this morning, and that's why Palantir is running. Let's transition to Nvidia. Okay, so I think after the market opened yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, Nvidia crossed Microsoft to become the world's largest and most valuable enterprise, which is, it's just, what are you going to say, right? It's just incredible. So here we got on Nvidia, $140. Here's my question to the chat. Is this insanity? Is this like all of us just sipping so much Kool-Aid we don't even understand how much Kool-Aid we're getting drunk on? Or is there something real here? Look, Nvidia now is closer to 180% for the year. It's added $2 trillion of market cap, I think, in the past 15 months. At some point, right, does this get ridiculous? Like, is there a hard line stance? Is there a number where everyone's like, yeah, this is stupid? Is the number 140? Or are you Bank of America that says, actually, no, 150 is the price target, and here is why. Let's read why Bank of America maintained their 150 price target this morning. Despite NVIDIA's 50% climb in last quarter, Bank of America still sees solid fundamentals and valuation cushion against volatility. So they actually think the valuation is sustainable, even if things get a little bit volatile. Generative AI hardware deployments are still in the early stages of a 3 to 5 year deployment cycle with a $300 billion opportunity. This is the big component of NVIDIA. I mean, at the end of the day, you either believe that it's cyclical within 5 years or it's cyclical within 5 months. And if you think it's 5 years, then it's cheap. If you think it's 5 months, it's ridiculously overvalued. Most of the street thinks that it's 5 years. Next-gen Blackwell AI accelerator systems expected to launch later this year with strong demand and visibility across cloud customers, which means they're going to have more revenue outside of just their H100s. On-premise enterprise AI demand and software monetization just starting. Compelling valuation at 35 to 40x consensus earnings and 30x PE on a $5 per share earnings scenario. So if you think in 2025, NVIDIA puts up $5 a share, I think, the lower estimates are like 345. The more bullish estimates are a little bit above 5. You put a 30 multiple on that, you've got a $150 stock. Now the stock's at 140. So again, it's kind of getting up there and they don't have $5 a share yet, but that's kind of the argument I think that the banks are making. Price targets are usually a year out. So that's why Bank of America is thinking in a year, you could expect a 150. The company is expected to achieve overall a 50% EPS CAGR from 2023 to 2026. And those are the core arguments. I mean, those are the core arguments for NVIDIA. So what are you guys thinking? What are you thinking? Do you think it's possible or do you think it's a little too insane? I got a lot of mixed responses on Twitter this morning. A lot of people think like it's amazing. They might own some NVIDIA shares. A lot of other people thinking, no, dude, this is ridiculous. Here's my thoughts. And I read a lot of shit yesterday about, so I had a call with 2 different people and, I will probably do a podcast with them later next week. But one of the persons is telling me this is a bubble with AI. The other person is telling me, no. This is just getting started. And maybe it's a little bubble-ish in certain parts, but it's not like an overall bubble, at least not for NVIDIA, and some of the big names. Both people I respect. So I decided to do my own research. And right now I'm leaning towards the fact that, dude, I don't think AI demand is leaving for at least the next 12 months. And there's a lot of examples. I did a lot. I did a lot of research yesterday on my day off or whatever. I actually read a lot of shit. Here's one thing that I want to show you guys that's already an argument for why I don't think AI demand is going anywhere. So Elon Musk raises $6 billion for XAI. Obviously, really cool, right? Separate company. He basically used it as a cheat code in case he didn't get the Tesla compensation. Michael Dell tweets out yesterday, we are building a Dell AI factory with NVIDIA to power Grok for XAI. So they're building out an entire data center powered by Dell servers. If anyone didn't believe that Dell is actually creating the servers for NVIDIA, there's the CEO telling you, yes, that's what we're doing. Elon then tweets to someone else, Dell's only doing half of this. Who's doing the other half? Well, the other half is being done by a company we all know very well, which actually is the best performing company in the stock market this year, or like top 5, SMCI. That's why SMCI is up 5.3%. So Elon says Dell's doing half, SMCI is doing the other half. SMCI potentially a run back to 1,000 given this news. That means SMCI is getting diversified business. And now they're powering Elon. If XAI becomes a very big company and they need more and more GPUs, well, SMCI and Dell are going to benefit from that. Dell right now is at up 4%. Look at that. Dell fell to 130 from 170, now back to 155. Operating margins expand. Dell probably starts to get even more of a premium. Let's look at Micron right now. They have earnings this week. They're up 3% in the pre-market. Bank of America has a 180 price target on Dell, or on Dell, and I think they have 175 on Micron. So as you're seeing right here, in my opinion, I don't think AI demand is necessarily leaving. And if we take a bird's eye view, robotics, if robots are going to be a big thing, Optimus, all these things, like NVIDIA is going to be involved. FSD, Elon has gotten enough GPUs where they're not supply constrained, but what if FSD really starts to scale? What if other companies want us to be able to start training? NVIDIA is going to be involved. Just the like AGI, right? $100 trillion 100 trillion parameter models that we're trying to create. By the way, we have some crazy open AI news as well. We have so much stuff to discuss, but like all of these things are going to require GPUs. Jensen Huang was in Taiwan the other day in Taipei, and he said, Brad Gerstner was in Taiwan at like a conference Jensen Huang was at, and based on the people he was talking to, he said demand is booked for the next 5 years for NVIDIA. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's not insane to say they do $5 a share in next year. You put a 30x multiple on that, you get to 150. And then maybe, it gets a little aggressive from there because people want to buy it above 150 just because people want more exposure. But I don't necessarily think demand is falling off a cliff. At least I don't think that's getting ready to happen. At least not soon. Maybe that happens in a couple of years, but definitely not now. Thomas says demand doesn't have to stop for it just to be a bubble. The growth of that demand just has to slow down. 100%. And so I'm making a pretty aggressive claim here, which is not an original claim by myself, but I don't think the growth of that demand is slowing down yet. Now, the way the growth of that demand slows down, the way all of this falls apart, and let me actually pull up a little bear chart right here to give a counter perspective around the bearishness of the stock market in terms of valuation. The way all of this falls down is if AI doesn't have a use case. Like if smaller companies aren't seeing the value of AI, or even bigger enterprises, and they don't want to pay for AIP, they don't want to pay for, Databricks' AI offering or whatever it may be, then the entire infrastructure doesn't have any means to last. I mean, at least for the smaller companies that don't find use cases of it, they're not going to start paying for it. Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, the reason I think even if that happens to an extent, which I don't think is going to fully happen, there's still going to be plenty of demand, is because the hyperscalers need to be competitive. And they are very obviously showing, Meta, perfect example, advertising on Instagram Reels is getting way better because of AI and the training they're able to do on the models that fuel those advertising recommendation algorithms. That is something they cannot, that competitive moat cannot go away. And if that competitive moat does go away, they lose on their revenue, operating income, earnings, etc., which means they're going to keep buying chips. Maybe not Meta because they already have so many chips, but you guys get my point. Like that demand, if that does not necessarily slow down because the hyperscalers are able to maintain it for the next few years, even if smaller companies can't necessarily buy it, then maybe that's another reason why demand will continue to go higher. So here is a bear case from Apollo. They are saying the current AI bubble is bigger than the 1990s tech bubble. So as you can see right here, the 12-month forward PE, they are showing right now in the top 10 companies is at 27. In 2000, it was at 24. Excluding the top 10, you're at 18, and then the broader S&P 500 is at 19, which both of those are still higher than in the year 2000 when things started to collapse. This is one argument for why we are in a little bit of a frothy environment. The counter argument to this, and we're going to hear from Julian Edelman in a second. Julian Edelman, for those that don't know this guy, he was on CNBC a couple of days ago. I'm not sure if you guys saw this clip. He was the biggest bear outside of Mike Wilson on Wall Street. He went to bullish, and his logic for why he went bullish, I think, is incredibly important to understand. But outside of that argument, the S&P 500 is still cheap compared to where it was compared to how it relatively trades if you take out some of the big names, and which means Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, if you factor in the earnings growth for some of those big names and get a little aggressive in terms of maybe they don't grow 5%, maybe they grow 9%, which Nvidia and Microsoft have shown they're able to do that, then the S&P 500 becomes cheap on a relative basis. So you can look at a variety of different multiples, PE ratios, multiples in terms of what it looks like for forward earnings, but there are different ways you can slice and dice this machine to be able to say, hey, this is a little frothy, or hey, this is actually cheap, even though it feels frothy. Just look at the earnings growth and you got the tailwind that is rates coming down. So there's a variety of ways to chop this up. All the big banks on the street are basically becoming incredibly bullish on what's going to happen with the S&P and what's going to happen with the broader market because they think that earnings growth is going to lead the charge. So let me play Julian Edelman. I think this is a really, wasn't he like a football player, Julian Edelman? Am I saying his name? Wasn't he on the Patriots or something? His name is definitely Julian. What is his real name? His name is Julian Emmanuel. Sorry. Did I say Julian Edelman? I'm about to get, the Boston fans are about to fucking, at least you guys won the championship, right? Don't hate me for that. Don't hate me for that. Wide receiver for the Patriots. Okay. All right. So this is a guy to listen to. Okay. I watched a couple of his videos yesterday from just April where he was ultra bearish. Now he says, you know what? We've got to go bullish. Let's listen to what he has to say, and then we'll keep going from there.
First record close of the year today. Our next guest sees more fuel left in the tank, raising his year-end price target to 6,000 for the index. That's the highest number on the street now. We finished today at 54.87, as you can see right there on your screen. Joining us now, Evercore ISI Senior Managing Director Julian Emmanuel. Julian, it's great to have you back on the show. You didn't just raise your target to a street high of 6,000. You raised it from 47.50. What is going into this new target? Why are you doing it now? And why are you feeling so bullish for the end of the year?
So thank you, Morgan. We're going to rewind a little bit of stuff here, going back to your last guest and some of the commentary. The first thing is, when you think about the risk of the market now, there's two things you want to look for. Is there a bubble forming? And is there the potential for a recession? And frankly, when we look around, the fact that there's all this talk around a potential bubble and a lot of controversy around that gives us comfort that we're actually nowhere near a bubble. And when we
now, the psychology there is very important. It's kind of like investing is go against the herd, right? That's how you win. If the herd is saying, hey, there's a bubble, Julian's point is like, well, maybe there's not a bubble if everyone's so concerned about a bubble. And it actually does make sense. When everyone starts thinking one thing, the opposite happens. If everyone was thinking there's not a bubble, you could say there's a bubble. His argument is everyone's actually thinking this is too frothy, but the earnings growth and the fundamental analysis suggests that it's not, which means maybe that's a good thing because there's probably not a bubble.
We think of all the traditional signs of a bubble: IPOs, M&A frenzy, huge public bullishness, potential policy errors. We're very comforted by the fact that there's more to go. And in terms of the recession part, the economy is slowing. Absolutely, everyone knows it. It's not at all, from what we see, in danger of the imminent downturn. And in fact, the Fed is likely going to be behind us if we need it. So we put that all together and we come to this idea that, look, our skepticism about valuation over the long course of history is pretty well founded, which is why we sort of were resistant to get more positive. But then we dug in and we thought about the AI stocks, which we've been proponents of for well over a year. And we came to the conclusion that expensive markets happen every now and then. And when they do, they last longer and go further than anyone thinks. This expensive market is 6 months old and 12% higher. The averages go significantly higher from there.
Okay.
That's how we get to 6,000.
So, I mean, it's a decent point, right? This market is only 6 months old. We'll come back to this later. There's a lot of other news I want to get to, but his broader point is like bull markets tend to last couple years. This one's 6 months old. Bull markets tend to be 12% higher than we are right now. If you look at certain multiples, we have room to run. And it's not just him. It's JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all the guys saying it. Now, you could say that, well, all the guys are in consensus there, which is bad. Sure. But it's actually quite interesting because all of them used to be against this thesis. And the numbers are so ridiculous that they have to change their thesis. Here's the other thing different from 2021. In 2021, when you had analysts saying, oh, this is going to go to the moon, this is going to go to the moon, they were saying it without logic. And what I mean by that is if you actually read some of those reports for why they thought Rivian would go to $1,000 or whatever, it was just like, oh, EVs are hot. People will buy more EVs. Rivian will be a second player under Tesla. When analysts are saying Nvidia will go to 200, there is a lot of hardcore analysis, whether you agree with it or not, but you can't deny that there is a lot of work that's being put in. It's not, oh, this NFT is worth $2 million today. It'll be worth $5 million tomorrow. It's more so, well, data center revenue is growing 400% year over year. But operating margins are like they start looking at what's happening from a truly global perspective. And you start to say, okay, this is plausible. And that logic then justifies the potential appetite that people have in the broader market to take a risk on some of these stocks and to, quite frankly, get rid of some of their risk being stuck in money market funds when rates, which we'll talk about in a second, are likely to come down. So from that perspective, I mean, look, if you're in this market, you're in this market. And obviously, knowing when to sell is really tough. Profit taking is always something that's important. But last thing I'll say on Nvidia, I asked this question on Twitter the other day. Who's selling? If you're in the chat, are you selling Nvidia? I'm sure there's 1,345 people here. Someone has Nvidia. Put in the chat. Are you selling? I mean, and what would it take for you if Nvidia goes back to 115, which is not unreasonable, right? Nvidia's at 140, goes back to 115, goes back to 105. Not unreasonable at all. Are you selling or are you buying that dip? I think the Nvidia bulls that have held on, especially retail, for so long, they're not selling if they get a 20% drawdown because they're probably up 400 or 500%. So, and you know what the demand story is going to look like, unless you get a definitive piece of evidence that's like, oh, demand is falling off a cliff, then you like run for the fence. But like, if that's not the case, who's fucking selling? Who's selling their stock? I'm looking at it in the chat right now. Yeah, look at this. John Kyler says holding tons of shares, or Kiker. I would buy more. Yup, not selling. Hell no. Absolutely not. I mean, it's very hard. So Dougie Fresh's I sold at 1230, up 530%. That's a hell of a sell. That's not bad. What's his name? Druckenmiller sold at 970. He was up, I think, 200-300%. It is what it is. Taking profits is not bad, but I think if you are, it's almost like, having a $6, $7 average on Palantir. You're up 4 or 5x. Like, why not take some profits, right? Well, the reason why not is because even if you fall back to $20, which we have not gone below since February 5th, I think the market has fundamentally moved beyond a Palantir below $20. You'll still be up 3x from 6 to 20, even if you're not up 5x. So if you're holding for the next decade, does it really matter 3x to 5x in the short term volatility of a few months? No, but what matters is that 4x that you have could turn into like 10x if Palantir gets to $100, $250. And that potential is what I think a lot of people are waiting on if the fundamentals continue to improve, which for Nvidia, it continues to improve. Am I selling? Well, okay, so I'm not selling, but the reason I'm not selling is because I bought the dip when no one wanted to buy the dip, and I really used everyone's fear as my alpha. Let me just show you guys to brag a little bit about this. I'm up 79% on my Nvidia. And, I don't like to brag. You guys know I'm a humble guy, but when you're up 79%, for those that are in their cars and they're just watching, they're not watching. I'm up 79 cents on my dollar that I put in. And I was going to sell this the other day because I was like 79 cents is actually not bad. Might as well add it to the cash pile. But one day it might be up $2 and I'll be up, 300%. So why not? So I'm not selling. I'm holding on to my Nvidia, but I'm curious if anyone else is selling. And it seems like most people in the chat are not ready to sell. Josh says I sold at 300 something. Haha, they were saying overvalued then. So who really knows? Yeah, man, at 300, 400. I mean, a lot of people, even myself, I was just like, yeah, it's kind of getting up there. But I don't think any of us saw the. I mean, Nvidia did $6 billion in revenue this time a year ago or 2 years ago. No, it was a year ago. Now they're doing fucking 30 billion is the expectation next quarter, 28 billion. Like, it's just that type of growth that only happens once in a lifetime on certain companies. It's once in a lifetime. And that's what's happening right now in the context of Nvidia. All right. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Let's go through some other things real quick. Dell's up 3%, SMCI's up 4%, Micron's up 2%, Nvidia up 2.88%. Market selling off a little bit. We were at 550.7 on the S&P. Now we're at 549. So a little bit of a sell off. And again, my thing is if the market actually does take a bit of a tumble, let's say S&P goes to 530, which I mean, that would be a nice little 4 or 5% dip. I don't think anyone can really be that upset. I mean, the markets are doing incredibly well. But it would take a decent amount of volatility to get us back down to that level. And so if it happens, it happens. I think it will be a dip that gets eaten up and the Fed eventually comes in to save it, which I'll talk about the Fed in a bit. But if we do have some volatility, not the craziest thing in the world. Robinhood as well, $22 in the pre-markets. Again, the reason why Robinhood declined on Friday or on Wednesday or Tuesday was because of Bitcoin coming down. I've got some stuff to say about Bitcoin. We'll talk about that in a second. But Bitcoin rebounds from 64,000. At one point today was at 66.5. Now it's at 65.5. So obviously a ton of volatility in that Bitcoin price action, but that is helping some of the crypto stocks. We'll look at the crypto stocks real quick. Coinbase is up 1%. CleanSpark up 2%. Nice to see CleanSpark getting some momentum. MicroStrategy is up 1%. Iren is up. Cypher is up. HUD is up. Marathon is up. Bitfarms is up. And then Robinhood is up as well. $22.05 in the pre-market. Let's go to the Mag 7. Microsoft is up. Apple is flat. Meta got upgraded to $545 from... What was the name of the company that KeyBank. They upgraded them from 470 to 545. Google at 176, Amazon 182, Nvidia again at 139, and then Tesla is down here at 184. Quick piece of news on Tesla, then I want to get into Bitcoin. So why is Tesla kind of down this morning? They had new car registrations in the EU, which last month were already not the best. They declined again by 10%. So let me pull this up real quick. So Tesla's new car registration in the EU have declined by 10.2% year to date. In May, Tesla registered 14,568 vehicles in the EU, down 34% year over year. Concurrently, they registered just 19,000 vehicles in the May in the EU, which is down 35% year over year. So that means the number of cars that are actually registered in the entire European Union obviously not doing well, down 35% year over year. In May of 2024, battery electric car registrations declined by 12% to 114,000 units. So Elon told us this in the previous earnings call that people are switching to hybrids over EVs. You can, go down a rabbit hole of why people are doing that, but that is what's happening. And we're seeing that in the numbers right now with Tesla in terms of EV adoption and EV registrations in the EU, which is not the biggest part of their business. China and North America are bigger parts, but still an important part. That is coming down. Now, is that a reason why the stock should necessarily sell off? I don't think so, because I think the market's kind of switching, bro. I think, or in the context of Tesla, I think the market, Tesla down at 184.14 right now. I think that it's about FSD. It's about selling Rise. It's about Robotaxi. It's about building this new app. And it's about how quick can they go to market with the Robotaxi. At this point, I think if you are betting on Tesla because they're going to sell 20 million EVs, like a lot of the bulls were saying over the past couple of years, I just don't think that's a thesis anymore. I mean, unless the EV trend comes back. And, there's a bunch of reasons why people don't want EVs anymore. But like, even the subsidies are not keeping up the pace of adoption with EVs with gas powered cars or hybrids. And so whether it's range anxiety or the supercharger networks or there's not enough of them, I don't necessarily know, but it is what it is. And so Tesla's got to pivot because they're not going to change overall consumer adoption in the next 2 years, right? Like, and rates being high definitely, doesn't help. So I think Tesla's got to go full force FSD. And, ironically, people were doubting Elon for a couple months ago saying, oh, it's time to pivot the company into FSD. Now at this point, it seems like that's the only option. Like, it seems like he almost knew what was going to happen with the broader cycle of EVs and he had to pivot to FSD, and the market has accepted that pivot so far because Tesla's not at 138 anymore, and hopefully they continue to accept that pivot over the coming months. Yeah, as Sethi Roth says, this is probably why Elon pivoted to robotaxis and bots. Notice at that shareholder call, he did not say, oh, we're going to sell 20 million cars. He said Optimus goes to 25 trillion, robotaxis goes to 5 trillion. There was no mention of like, we're going to sell so many EVs. It's like, no, dude, I think he's beyond that. Now he's like, how do I get this company to the real next level? And the next level is probably going to be something in the course of AI and robotics. Okay, so that's what we got on Tesla. Bitcoin, a couple pieces of news on Bitcoin. So first of all, MicroStrategy has purchased 11,000 new Bitcoin today. That's probably why Bitcoin is actually doing well right now in the pre-markets. I have a new reason for why Bitcoin has been struggling outside of my previous reason, which is not my reason, but just like the general thing people are thinking about, which is the argument around manipulation. Let me pull up the MicroStrategy news real quick, and then I'll talk about the new reason. So Michael Saylor, he said he was raising 500 million. It ended up being 700 million. Officially got done today at 800 million. So they raised 800 million at like a 2.25 or 3.25% convertible debt, which essentially, if you don't know what that means, they collateralize MicroStrategy stock to be able to raise money. And the debt issuers love this because if Bitcoin, for example, goes to 100,000, MicroStrategy owns at this point like 250,000 Bitcoin. The argument is MicroStrategy stock, if it's above XYZ price by 2025, 2026, or 2029, whatever the maturity is, the debt issuers, they don't get 2.5% on the note that they issued. They get MicroStrategy stock, which means they could get 30% from the delta at which the strike price is issued at for the convertible debt. So if their strike price is at, it has to be above, 1,400, and the thing comes in and it's, it's like 2,500, they get $1,000 on that delta, and the debt issuers love it, right? Where else are you going to get that type of liquidity? Shareholders will be diluted over the next 7 years, but if you're, sitting on a nice average, it really doesn't matter. So they bought at an average of 65,883, 11,931 Bitcoin, 786 million they spent today, and that's what necessarily helped for MicroStrategy. Now, what is the reason for why Bitcoin is struggling? Here's a theory I heard today from JP Morgan. Let me know what you guys think. They are expecting, their analysis is that a lot of people that have Bitcoin on cold wallets are selling that Bitcoin because it's too complicated to keep it on a cold wallet, and they're buying the ETF. So there's this sort of wishy-washy effect of like, yeah, you're selling your Bitcoin because you want to get it off of the cold wallet because it's just like, it's annoying to have it there. The ETF is so much easier to access it and get exposure, especially if you don't care about the privacy, security, all that stuff. And so they're selling, which is calling sell side pressure, but then they're buying it again, which is why Bitcoin is like teetering between 64,000, 67,000, et cetera. And so that's one of the analyses JP Morgan says for why the market is, or for why Bitcoin is not continuing to break out. But Bernstein believes that it's going to break out. So Bernstein says today, while bears argue that the ETF Bitcoin trade is done and most of the early Bitcoin ETF allocations were driven by retail investors, and the analyst admits this is true, bears are missing that Bitcoin ETFs are on the cusp of approvals at major wirehouses. That is a really big point. There's thousands of institutions that can't buy Bitcoin yet for regulatory reasons. They're going to get approved in the coming months. And large private bank platforms in Q3 or Q4 that the institutional basis trade looks like the Trojan horse for adoption. And these investors are in the process of evaluating their net long positions. Bernstein said they're going to raise their price target from 150 to 200,000 by 2025, 500,000 by 2029, and 1 million by 2033. Whether or not you agree with those price targets, you can't deny that there are major institutions that are getting ready to buy Bitcoin once they get approved. And if they do buy Bitcoin, that is obviously going to be beneficial for the broader Bitcoin adoption and obviously for the price action. of Bitcoin. And so that's what we got going on. MB says, why buy MicroStrategy over actual Bitcoin as a retailer? There's going to be alpha on the trade, especially if you buy options on it. You're going to get more increased leverage. MicroStrategy in general, people can just decide to buy it up, even if Bitcoin doesn't run as... I mean, MicroStrategy already trades. I forget the exact number, but it's already at a premium to Bitcoin, which is why I think there's one firm, I also forgetting their name, but they're short MicroStrategy. I always thought their short thesis was stupid. Like sure, MicroStrategy is trading at a premium, but at the end of the day, people want exposure. And so like the idea that it would massively correct if Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin goes down, yes, it's going to correct. Bitcoin goes up to 70, 80K or just maintains its level, it's going to be hard to see it necessarily correcting at a grand scale because people like using it as a proxy. It is what it is. So I don't think the short thesis makes too much sense there, but yeah, people want MicroStrategy for different types of exposure. I think the Bitcoin ETF still, if you just want general exposure without a ton of volatility outside of the price action of Bitcoin, BlackRock, Fidelity, that's not the worst option in the world if you want to get added exposure. Palantir 2644. We got the market open in 3 minutes. All eyes on Palantir. Let's see what happens, and we'll see where it goes. Why is Enphase down? Enphase got downgraded today by JP Morgan from 128 to 124. Not a major downgrade, but they did get downgraded. So that's why this stock, wow, it's at 111. Oh my, down 5%. Wow, okay, maybe there's other pieces of news. I didn't think that downgrade was enough to tank them. They did a $4 downgrade. Why is that? That's a hit. Okay, I'll see if there's anything else for Enphase. A couple of other upgrades, guys, that happened today. Wells Fargo increased their Micron price target from 135 to 190. JP Morgan also cut SolarEdge from 73 to 59. So it seems like solar across the board got cut. Bernstein raised their TSM price target, Taiwan Semi, to 200 from 150. TSM, it's probably up 1% right now. 2%. TSM up 2.48%. Goodness gracious, 184. Yeah, and those were the price target upgrades today that we saw. Enphase downgrade, SolarEdge downgrade, TSM upgrade, Micron upgrade on the day. Okay, here we go. Thank you everybody for being here. Let's see what happens. This is one of those days where it's exciting. If you are just joining, Palantir got 2 new deals today. One is with a public health research agency, $20 million. Another deal is with a space labs company for integrating AIP and Foundry to become the data analytics platform for the entire space system, for the entire space lab. Let me just pull up the name of that real quick. And so that's a really exciting piece of news today. One healthcare partnership, one space partnership. The diversity of the partnerships is what's exciting, and that's why it's getting momentum. Starlab Space is the name of the company. So 2 big deals, obviously a lot of momentum. Macro's going well. We're going to see how Palantir maintains or if it can break through 27. I think 27 is very possible if things get exciting and more momentum hits. I also think some downside is possible given it's run a lot. And so we're going to see. We're going to see what happens here in about 45 seconds. Dude, this is the cool part about covering the markets. It's like every day, except on the days where they cancel the markets, every day you've got something to look at and analyze and break down. And the cool part about this is it's not sports or politics. You can actually make money at the shit you're looking at, like, or you can have a lot of FOMO at the stuff you're looking like. There's all these range of emotions, but I think they're overall productive than just like arguing over politics or sports. So shout out to you if you're invested in the markets. At the end of the day, whether or not you're in some of these stocks that are going to run up today or that are going to take a hit today, you're investing, which is the most important thing because 99.9% of the world does not allocate their capital. So thank you everybody for being here. 9:30 a.m. Thursday, June 20th. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Palantir 2629, 2630 on the day. I want to look at this for a little bit. I want to see the initial price action here and see how this kind of plays out. We got a red candle right here at 2620. I want to see holding 26, or does it dip all the way below it? Does that dip get bought up at like 2550 and we run back to 2615? In the pre-market, there was obviously a ton of shares. There was like, I think 1 million or something in volume. So people were willing to buy 26. Heading below 26 right now, 2604. Let's see. 2597. All right. So we drop below 26. Nice big red candle right there. People are definitely taking profits. Let's see if buyers come in and they're willing to buy some of those higher or some of those lower prices from that 26 level. We'll go back to Palantir in a second, 25.93. Let's see how the rest of the market's doing. Enphase down 6% on the day, 111. Taiwan Semi up 1.64%. S&P 549. It's green for the day, but it's a little bit down from 550 in the pre-market, still up 0.12%. Nvidia 139 up 2.4%. Nvidia was actually up yesterday in the German market, so we saw that Nvidia was getting closer to 140. And then yesterday in the overnight trading, I think Nvidia got to like 143 on Robinhood. And there was a couple million shares of volume, so there was a decent amount of volume there. 139 right now on Nvidia. Dell is up 5.8%. Again, Dell and SMCI are powering Elon's new data center for Grok with XAI. That's why Dell and SMCI are up. SMCI up 5% on the day. Micron is up a little bit, 154. A nice little red candle from the pre-markets at 157, but still up 154 on the day. Robinhood 2187. That's probably down because Bitcoin is struggling a little bit, but Robinhood right here at 2186, now a little red on the day. Rocket Labs is down 4.2%. Snowflake down 1% on the day. SMH Semis ETF 277. Coinbase 237. CRM 235. That's up 1%. MicroStrategy up a little bit on the day, 0.9%. CleanSpark $20. Bitcoin struggling. CleanSpark's going higher. Again, it's signaling that the miners are saying, hey, the Bitcoin bottom is here, because if Bitcoin's going up, then at this point we should, get some momentum. If Bitcoin's going up, then you should buy us before, Bitcoin happens. Historically, the miners tend to show when they go up and Bitcoin goes down that Bitcoin is bottoming and then Bitcoin's about to go up. S&P right here at 548. Adam says, guys, a $40 strike for January 2025. They are paying $1.36 share a premium. That's insane. So for Palantir, if you're in covered calls or selling covered calls, or you want to roll out of your covered calls, if you don't think Palantir is $40 by January 2025, you can make $136 or 136 in per contract. Palantir right back above 26, so not bad at all. And we're seeing some momentum there. Let me pull up actually the option chain. I want to see what that looks like. So if you go to January 2025, yeah, the $40 call is there, 130. You could pay 130 a share and you could exit out of that contract, or you could get $130 on that contract. Wow. So this is what I mean. We talked about this a little bit on Friday. If you are in covered calls or you're in the options market, the covered call premiums become ridiculous when Palantir runs. And it's not just Palantir, it's companies like Palantir, because people get kind of greedy, right? They start gambling. They start thinking, okay, Palantir can really get to elevated levels by certain price frames, by certain expiration dates. And if you don't think Palantir is $40 by January 2025, you can sell them that call. They will buy that call. If it gets there, you just roll out of it when you get there. If it doesn't get there, you get to keep your shares and you get some premium, or you pay a little bit to get out of the current covered call that you might be underwater. So if you're in a covered call that's underwater, don't panic. Like I think part of maturing as an investor is realizing, okay, you entered into that contract for a reason. The contract's going against you a little bit. Hopefully you understand the company enough to understand where you think the price should be in an appropriate amount of time. And so you have options at your disposal to be able to navigate that position and potentially get out of it. So not the worst thing in the world, but that option chain is now up as well. Akshat says, tomorrow is expiry of quarterly futures contracts and monthly options. Historically, the market has dropped 7 out of 8 times for a June quarter expiration date. Okay, so that's definitely one of the bear cases for why the market could sell off in anticipation of tomorrow when things expire. Tomorrow is a Friday. So that does make sense. S&P right here, 549. Snowflake down 1.68%. Palantir now below 26 at 25.82. So definitely some sellers took some profits right there. IWM can't catch a break. The small caps are just hit $200. SoFi at 640. SoFi also continues to maintain red. PayPal a little bit green today, but PayPal still below $60. Apple at 212. Got some interesting things on Apple. We'll go into this later, but did anyone think that the upgrade cycle that's happening in Apple for AI on the iPhones is also going to largely be done in China? Did anyone remember that? Okay, I forgot about that too. Well, did anyone think, wait a second, OpenAI is banned in China? Did anyone remember that? Because I forgot about that. This morning I realized, wait a second, Apple's whole AI upgrade super cycle that China should be a big part of, they need to have an alternative like a Siri model, because OpenAI, Gemini, Claude, they're all banned from the CCP. So that's one thing. That's one like pseudo bear case that hit me this morning. That like what Chinese company is Apple going to work with to have the integrated AI models for Siri if OpenAI is banned? It's one thing to think about when it comes to Apple, and we'll see what they end up saying. Palantir now getting back up to 26. So there were buyers at 25.82. It bottomed at 25.77. There were enough buyers to get this thing back up to $26. Not bad. And we're seeing a little bit of momentum right there, even though it is struggling at that $26 level. Oil is spiking again. Yes, that is annoying. Oil is up right now. It's up 0.5%. Has to do with a variety of reasons with what's going on with OPEC and the strategic oil reserves. But hopefully oil calms down. For the majority of June, oil wasn't up dramatically. So I don't think it'll be a big part of CPI. But something to monitor. If oil explodes and shelter is not really coming down, at least in the Fed's numbers, CPI might be a little hot next month, and that would hurt the rate cut. I think there is a chance, bro. There is a chance we get that damn rate cut in July. I'm starting to think about it because now it has to have good inflation data to get there. But at this point, inflation's coming down. We looked at enough data last week, CPI, PPI, commodities. Inflation's coming down. And so would the Fed rather be a little early to it coming down with a 25 basis points? You don't have to drop the interest rates by 500 basis points. You can do 25 and let it slowly come down. Or do you want to be super late when the economy's breaking, everyone's losing their job, retail sales are declining negative? In May, they were up 1%. Imagine that goes negative. That means consumers are not spending and then earnings are going to take a hit. And then you want to be like, oh, we're cutting rates by 2%. And then the market's just looking at you like, dude, you got the inflation transitory thing wrong, which I don't blame the Fed for, by the way. I think it's very hard to do their job, and they did the best they could. Now you want to cut rates by 2% because you weren't able to do 25 basis points in July. Like, I think there is a reasonable argument that a July cut does happen, just because the Fed doesn't want to be too scared that they would end up getting it wrong. Amit, you need a few more energy drinks. Go for it. Speaking of energy, let's go to Celsius. Guys, I don't need energy in the morning. I do blow. So just kidding. Snowflake's price ends up just blowing away, which is enough energy to get me excited in the morning. You know what I'm talking about? Snowflake down 1.42%. I'm just kidding. It's Snowflake. I'm not happy that it's down. I just like that Palantir is up. And if it's down, then it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, Celsius. Celsius is down 0.28% on the day. 63. Nice bounce from 57, though. Nice bounce from 57 if anyone got that dip. Robinhood back up to $22, $22.03. We'll talk more about Robinhood in a little bit. I posted some stuff on Twitter yesterday. We'll talk about that. Coinbase at 238, CRM at 236, MicroStrategy 1484, and then Palantir here at 2610. Okay, let's go to the OpenAI news real quick. So this affects Twitter, this affects Elon, this affects Palantir, this affects a variety of different companies. And this was big news yesterday. So remember when 3 weeks ago, one of the head ML research scientists left OpenAI? And it was really weird because all of us were like, why the hell is he leaving OpenAI? By the way, for those that don't understand, OpenAI is valued at $100 billion right now. OpenAI is going to $1 trillion. I'll say that right now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. They have the best model. Apple chose them for a reason. They're going to $1 trillion. These early employees that are leaving, they were not just going to become millionaires. They were not just going to become deca millionaires. They were going to become billionaires, probably over the next 5 years to a decade, because they were the earliest people there. And OpenAI at $1 trillion, they were going to net at least $1 billion or $2 billion, given how much equity they had because they were there. One of the head ML researchers left yesterday. Not only did the co-founder Ilya leave 2 weeks ago, he started a new AI company. A new AI company. Where's SMCI and Dell? Hold on. SMCI, Palantir back to 2120. SMCI, wow, up 7%. SMCI is going for 1,000. And then Dell at 158. Okay, Dell's up 6%. Ilya Sutskever, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. He left a $100 billion AI startup to produce a new AI startup called Safe Super Intelligence. It should have been called Super Safe Intelligence. That would have been better. Safe Super Intelligence. Dude, at the end of the day, we don't need to read too much through it. The whole point is they're trying to build safe AI. Why is this guy, who's part of a $100 billion, potentially $1 trillion startup that he co-founded, leaving to start a super safe, literally in the name, super safe intelligence AI company? It makes no sense other than something that he saw in OpenAI with Sam Altman, whatever the hell he saw. He is deeply afraid, and he's creating a hedge against OpenAI. And so I don't know. Take that information what you will. Apple, Tim Cook gave Sam Altman 2 billion devices to go at it, and the co-founder of that company is leaving. I don't even want to be conspiratorial. I've defended Sam Altman for the past couple months. I've said it's not that big of a deal. I'm starting to think it's a little bit bigger of a deal than we think it is right now. So we'll see how that plays out, but that's a piece of news that's important to look at. Dell right here up 7%. Palantir, look at that recovery on Palantir, bro. 2640. Look at that freaking recovery, bro. Went down to 2577, now right here at 2640 on the day. That dip was eating up. Nvidia, 140, $3.45 trillion on Nvidia. That dip to 138.4 was eaten up. Robinhood, 2204, Bitcoin, 65,360, Coinbase at 239, CRM at 236, MicroStrategy, 14.39. Oracle's down a little bit. They had a good run last week. CrowdStrike is up a little bit. Chewy up another 0.4%. GameStop down 2%. Look, the GameStop thing is the GameStop thing. So far on the shareholder meeting that we saw last week together, if you were part of the stream, management said nothing. I mean, it was despicable. I'm sorry for the GameStop bulls out there. I like GameStop doing well because that definitely affects Robinhood doing well, right? Because more people sign up to the platform and they start getting excited about the markets. That's good for Robinhood, but I can't sugarcoat it. The call was horrible. Ryan Cohen does not care about shareholders. At least that's what I got from that call. Now, you could give me every argument for why you disagree, for why GameStop's going to $100. Sure, that's fine. I hope that happens. That will be good for Robinhood. But that shareholder call was disgusting. They raised $4 billion and said nothing about why they did it, and they just dumped 120 million shares. So, I mean, it's down 2.5%. I don't know what the catalyst is unless Kitty tweets something that gets people excited. But that's why that one is struggling right now. QQQ at 486, CrowdStrike at 391. Walmart 67, Target at 142, SMCI 9%. Wow. SMCI is back to 1,000. Do you guys remember back in late January when I said I wanted to buy the SMCI dip at 684 on the stream? Someone find that clip. If someone can find that clip, I said, hey guys, I'm going to do it. I had it pulled up and you guys said, no, you're a gambler. You're a degenerate. Well, I missed out on $400 a share because of you guys. So I just hope you guys I thank you for letting me not make any money on SMCI. I'm just kidding. But SMCI up here 9%. Amazing stuff right here. By the way, when it fell to 684 from 1,200, I mean, I was the first one to say this thing's getting cooked. You don't want to. This thing's kind of scary. Obviously, there's a lot of demand and momentum, which is why the people the person I was on the phone with yesterday saying that demand is cooked, AI demand is gone, and there's going to be this massive collapse. I just don't know if they're necessarily correct about that, because the other person I was talking to yesterday, again, I talked to two different people. We'll have a podcast with them later next week. He was giving me a lot of other counter arguments. And I'm like, well, when you see SMCI and Dell have this spike, and it's not crazy to see this spike, Palantir right here, 2654, because they're building out AI centers for Grok. Grok just raised, or XAI just raised $6 billion. That's a lot of money they can probably afford to throw at SMCI, Dell, and Nvidia, which means that demand is probably not going away. Wolf is flying. Where's Wolf? TeraWolf is up 6%. Cypher, I think, is another one that's up 10%. I don't know what the news is on Cypher, but I know they had a good week last week as well. Another Bitcoin miner. If anyone knows any specifics on that, let me know in the chat. But that one is having a good day. Where's CleanSpark? Is that mooning? CleanSpark, nice, up 5% on CleanSpark. Very nice. Marathon up $21 at $21, up 4%. The miners are doing well. The miners are not doing bad. Robinhood 2206. Look at that. Palantir 2650. 26 freaking 50. Do you think Palantir will hold till earnings? I'm thinking it goes back to 24.50. I think Palantir going to 24.50 or Palantir going to 30. The odds are equivalent. I really do think it can run up to 30 because the momentum's there. It can fall back to 24.50 because obviously it's getting a bit expensive right here. Price to sales is now 25 on Palantir. PE of 208. Like, conventionally, people will take profits when those numbers get to that level, but it's in a trend and it's in a cup and handle. And if that cup and handle does what it needs to do, Palantir goes higher. Now, could it sell off if it touches 30 or so? Of course, right? But like, I honestly can't say one way or the other. It's going to 24.50. It's going to 30. I think it has an equal chance of going both ways. And that's how it can play out. The dip in recovery today from 25.77 to 26.50 is absolutely incredible, dude. I did not expect that much of a recovery within 5 minutes. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Jobless claims. Did we get jobless numbers today? I don't think we got jobless numbers today. Oh no, we did. Oh shit, we did. Holy crap. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, so we got some breaking news. U.S. initial jobless claims. The number of people claiming unemployment benefits in the U.S. eased by 5,000 to 238,000 on the second week of June, above expectations of 238. The number of people claiming unemployment benefits, consistently outstanding unemployment claims rose by 15,000 to 1.8. Wait a second. The number of people claiming unemployment benefits in the U.S. eased by 5,000 to 238 on the second week, above expectations of 235. Okay, so I think more people is what they're saying. That word eased is confusing me. More people exceeded expectations. Yeah. Okay, so more people filed for unemployment. That's technically good news. That's good news for inflation. That means less consumption. I mean, it's relatively insignificant, dude. 5,000 is not that big of a deal, but it is above expectations. So if that's the case, yeah, we're unemployment's creeping up there. Now it's at 4%. Unemployment creeping up is what the Fed wants to see to be able to have the argument to cut rates. And again, does the Fed want unemployment at 7% before they cut rates? No. They've got to cut this 25 basis points at least once before that happens, which causes the melt up, causes the tailwind, causes the breath in the broader economy to increase in terms of small caps getting some love, and in general interest rates coming down, market gets more friendlier to different companies. So I think that 25 basis points cut comes before unemployment gets really bad. Palantir right here, 26.33, but we're gonna have to see how the Fed decides to do what they want to do. And so that's what we're getting. That's what we're getting right now. Okay, so that's what we got in the context of Palantir. Travel Boss says the narrative that Palantir is expensive at this price is crazy to me. Palantir is ridiculously cheap. So I don't know if it's necessarily ridiculously cheap. Price of sales of 25 is pretty tough to pay for some of these companies. PE of 207, obviously pretty tough. Like the 58 billion for 21% year-over-year growth. It's tough to justify that on a pure SaaS basis. Now, however, if you have a long-term perspective, yeah, I do think it's cheap because there's a lot of components to Palantir's moat from a fundamental perspective that I think will play out over the next decade. However, in the short term, most people can look at it and say, okay, it's getting up there, right? Like if Tesla was at $400 right now, you would say, all right, it's getting up there. So from that perspective, yeah, it could be pricey. But I also think that if it's in a trend, then that upside momentum can continue to get to a broader place in the stock price. Why is Enphase down? Enphase got downgraded today by JP Morgan. Enphase right here, 109. Let me see if there's any other Enphase news real quick. Let's see. ENPH. Is there anything else that happened? No, I don't see anything. Well, so JP Morgan, they said they said solar is slowing down a little bit, but I don't know if that's enough to tank at 7%. Yeah, there's no fundamental news besides that JP Morgan downgrade. JP Morgan's the reason it's down. That's it. That's the main reason. And again, Enphase is supposed to benefit from rates coming down, but obviously the downgrade they got today doesn't signal that rates coming down would help it. SMCI up 10%. There you go. SMCI having a nice day. Snowflake is down another 1%. Again, another reason for why Palantir is going up as well. Oh, here's another reason, adding to the bull case for why Palantir might not necessarily be super, super expensive. It's not that Palantir is cheap or expensive. It's that money wants exposure to shit that's real. And again, I've talked about this on my video a couple days ago when I talked about why Palantir at $26. If you didn't watch that, you can check out. There's a whole chapter on Snowflake. If the market feels Snowflake with the whole data breach thing that's happened and the declining revenue growth is not a real AI player, it's just a data lakehouse, the market's going to accept their loss and they're going to rotate that money into something else. And one of those companies might just end up being Palantir. So outside of the two new deals we got today, if you're just joining, one in healthcare, one in space, outside of the macro doing well, outside of Nvidia doing well, money might just be rotating. And if that money rotates, it's not going to care about the PE. They're just going to care about exposure. And that's what also helps Palantir. Amit, do you know why Enphase is down? Yes, they got a downgrade. Damn, a lot of people have Enphase in the chat. Put in the chat if you have Enphase. A lot of people seem to care about Enphase. Lisa says, Amit, should I average down on Enphase? Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question. You've got to believe that the solar revolution is happening over the next decade, which personally I do believe in. So I think Enphase relatively over the next decade will do well. But in the short to medium term, with rates still high and solar maybe plateauing a bit in its growth, the DCA is contingent upon, do you think there's a long-term narrative, right? And that's what a DCA always contingent upon. If you think there's a long-term narrative, you DCA. So Liza, if you really believe Enphase is and solar is going to keep growing, then yeah, you DCA. If not, then you got to decide what you want to do with the stock. SolarEdge, is that worse? SolarEdge? Wow, down 10%. Yeah. So what about First Solar? Is that one getting hit? First Solar is only down 2%. Where's the market? Is the market turning a little bit? Is the market turning? S&P? Oh, wow. S&P 550. Look at that. S&P 550. Not bad. S&P 550. Bitcoin also going up a little bit right here. S&P 550. Bitcoin going up 238 on Coinbase. CRM at 236 on the day. So S&P is starting to inch higher as well. What is Enphase? Enphase makes microinverters for solar panels. ASTS. Yeah, we looked at ASTS, Thomas. They already had their crazy run. Are they up again today? Yeah, they're up 8.88. They had a crazy run this year. I mean, I definitely missed this one. This one went from what, $1 to $12. Yeah. This is one of those stocks that had a good run. I think they had to deal with T-Mobile and Verizon the other day or something. I think they do stuff with like satellites for telecommunication companies, but if anyone's in ASTS, that one has had a good run. I don't know if there's any more juice in this, so I would be skeptical of this one. It's already up 10x in like 8 months. So just be careful if you're looking at this one, because this one has run a lot. Oh, where's HIMS? HIMS 2373. Okay, HIMS is down. Now HIMS is up how much is HIMS up year to date? It's up like 100% year to date, right? Year to date, it's up 146%. Yeah, HIMS going down 5%. If it's up 146%, you could see why that happens. What else? Can you comment on SMCI? Okay, so why SMCI is going up again? They're building a data center for Elon Musk. That's why. That's the only reason I think why the stock's up right now. That is a catalyst that the market is really excited about. If you believe XAI is going to be very valuable and XAI continues to grow their data center usage, SMCI again builds the servers along with Dell to be able to maintain the GPUs. That's why they're relevant. They have a hardware business with a hardware type margins on the business, but they grow a lot. And so that's why SMCI is getting the benefit of the doubt from the market, especially if that growth is going to continue. One other piece of crypto news yesterday, the SEC suspended their investigation into Ethereum. That's another reason why Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing well today. They officially suspended, I think, their unregistered securities like investigation. It probably means the Wells notice that the SEC sent to Robinhood, that's probably going to shit. Any type of case they have against Coinbase, that's also probably going to shit. So the fact that they did that and the ETFs are going to be approved now. So that's also another reason, I don't think anyone should be too scared about the SEC. Karp's on CNBC. What? Hold on. Let me pull it up. This is why I pay $72 a month for YouTube TV for this moment. Holy crap. He's on CNBC. Oh my goodness. Is he on CNBC or is he coming on CNBC soon? Where did you guys see? He's not live right now. Is he about to be on CNBC? Is he about to be in the next hour? Okay. He's not there yet. Okay. He's not there yet. Okay. Thank you for letting me. Okay. Wow. Karp. What is Karp going to say on? Are they going to, what is he got? Is it just like a general interview? Do we get a brand new Karp interview today? Do we get a new Karp interview today? What? Next hour, they said interview with Pfizer. Okay. I don't care about Pfizer. I care about Palantir. Someone confirmed that in the chat. Are we getting a Karp interview? Someone confirmed that. Wow, not bad. That's exciting. Chris says oil is spiking ahead of inventory. That's likely driving up the 10-year. Yeah, where's the 10-year right now? 10-year. 10-year's up a little bit. Yeah, it is up. And we got to monitor oil because if that spikes up aggressively, then CPI is going to get hit. But 10-year's up a little bit right now, 4.277 on the day. Someone confirm about the Karp thing. Someone please confirm that he's going to be on and the time that just let me know so I have it ready to go. Let me know. Cool. Okay, let me finish what Julian Edelman, I'm just kidding here, was saying about his price target because I wanted to finish what he was saying. So here's his broader argument for why he raised the target to 6,000 for the S&P.
All right. So that's interesting. Now, we do have economic data that's softening. Look no further than retail sales as the latest example of that this morning. To your point, you do have a market that is looking expensive from a valuation standpoint. You also have
Karp with the Pfizer CEO are talking about Israel. Okay, got it. I was so confused. You guys were saying Pfizer, Israel. I was like, what do you guys what is it? Okay, so Karp and Pfizer. Interesting. Alex Karp and Pfizer CEO are going to be talking about Israel support. Huh. All right, we'll watch it when it's out.
A market where breadth has been very narrow. We know it's really the small handful of mega cap tech stocks that are leading the charge right now. So what does it take to see that broaden out? Does it need to broaden out to keep trading at higher levels?
So we would certainly be more comfortable if it did in fact broaden out. If you look at the past, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that it broadens out. We actually think that it does broaden out. Actually, that 2020 to 2021 example that Mike Santoli talked about a few moments ago is a perfect example. You had a pullback in technology, and then you had leadership assumed in small caps. We actually think that coming into the Russell 2000 rebalance at the end of June, that you could have a reassertion of that leadership. Frankly, from a valuation standpoint, you're at extremes. So we would not be surprised at all to see a bit more leadership rotation. And as I said, that would be a good thing.
Julian, here's the part of all of this that makes me most uncomfortable from an investor standpoint. What about the fact that the mega caps are so out of step with stocks in general, just doing so much better? And then stocks in general are so out of step with how Main Street consumers are feeling, given what's happening with inflation, particularly the folks who are mostly living paycheck to paycheck. Something has to come into step at some point. And is it more likely that the Main Street consumer starts feeling like Nvidia or that the broader market starts feeling like the Main Street consumer?
John, I don't think anyone's going to feel like an Nvidia. It is a thing unto itself for the most part. And actually, our fundamental analyst thinks you could get to a sort of 10 to 15% weighting the S&P 500 over the next, call it 5 years or so. But what I would say there is, remember, part of the reason that the consumer has felt so depressed, I guess, is probably the way to call it, is this sort of anchoring on inflation as a function of what prices were in 2019, forgetting about how their income has moved. And obviously, this is feeding into, sort of uncertainty coming to the election. We think that over the course of the rest of the year, it will become clearer that inflation is continuing to moderate.
Okay.
And the economy is not likely to hard land until, call it late this year, early next year. And we think any hard landing will actually be mitigated by the Fed to a very large extent.
All right. So again, that is one of the largest bears, or one of the biggest bears on the street, who's adjusted his price target from 4,750 on the S&P to 6,000. And you can see right there, even if there is a quote unquote hard landing in the next 6 months because the economic data gets bad, unemployment goes higher, all that stuff, the Fed, his argument says, is going to be able to save it. And that's incredibly important when you think about what the Fed is going to be able to do and how they're going to be able to navigate that situation. If they cut by 25 basis points, 50 basis points, that is obviously going to be good for the broader markets, even if that creates a little bit of downside momentum, or even if the economy is having some downside momentum with jobs, with unemployment going higher, Palantir still at 2640, and inflation maybe still being a little sticky. 2643 on Palantir, up 2.34%. We're not giving up 2640. We're not giving up 2640. There you go, 2640 on Palantir. That is not going away yet. I've got CNBC pulled up as well. If anyone, I'll have it pulled up just in case. Does anyone know the exact time where he's going to be on? Because they said in the next hour. I'll have it pulled up right here. But if anyone, if I'm missing it and he's on and someone else has it, just put in the chat he's on right now, and I'll immediately switch. Okay, cool. Let's look at some of these other stocks that we have going on. So DJT, what do we have on DJT? DJT is down 26. Wow. Oh, so there is some Trump news, by the way. There is some Trump news. Do you guys want the Trump news? There is a lot of Trump news. I can give you guys the Trump news. It gets pretty damn juicy, dude. It gets pretty damn juicy. Like, it's a rabbit hole. It'll take us a good 10 minutes to get through it. So if you want it, let me know. 2630 right now on Trump. That's down 15%. Reason I believe why it's down 15%. And it has to do with a just insane story that I can't believe is actually playing out with Trump. Oh, Nikola, by the way, 30-for-1 reverse split today. 30-for-1 reverse split. That's why that's down 20%. I can't even believe Nikola is public still. I think I bought Nikola at one point, dude, in 2020. I probably bought a share of it or something. Then my dad bought it. Like everyone fucking Trevor Milton, everyone thought this thing was going to be the next Tesla. Nope, it was not. 38 cents on the day, another 20 reverse split on Nikola. Bitcoin right here struggling as well, 65,143 on Bitcoin. Where's Palantir? Palantir, we're keeping up 26. We are 26.42. Not bad at all. Okay. AMD's up 7%. No way. No freaking way. Whole AMD's up 5%. Why is that up? Hold on. Before I do the Trump thing, hold on. There's no way, bro. What, did they get upgraded? Yeah, Piper Sandler named AMD as their top large cap pick into the second half of 2024. There you go. Piper Sandler did it for them. Sometimes you just need one bank, one institution to give you an upgrade, and the rest of the world continues to go higher. AMD got hacked the other day as well, a little bit. But still on some of their servers. But there you go. Piper Sandler got them. Okay, let's do the Trump news. It's not actually that political, the Trump news. It's just hilarious. It's not really political. It's more so hilarious. Okay. So do you guys remember 2 days ago I tweeted that Trump is launching a coin on Solana. And it's called DJT. So he already has a stock called DJT. Now he was launching a meme coin essentially on Solana. For those that don't know Solana, it's a decentralized blockchain, big in decentralized finance, and people can buy up coins, and people can make a lot of money on pump and dumps and all that stuff, right? So I tweeted that, and the source was from Pirate Wires. Now, Pirate Wires is Mike Solana's media company. Mike Solana is one of the managing partners at Founders Fund. So this guy's very well connected. Okay, Founders Fund, that's Peter Thiel's firm. Yeah, I'm seeing it right here. Karp and Pfizer are going to be on CNBC coming up in a little bit. So we'll play that live when it's up. But so that's what's going on, right? Like Mike Solana said, he had some good sources that this thing was that Trump was going to launch a coin. Now, it was unconfirmed until yesterday. I'm going to read from this. You guys are not going to believe all the characters that are involved, but this is what happened, okay? This is what happened. Martin Shkreli was involved in this. The guy who went to jail for like upping the drug prices and stuff. Okay, so let's read a little bit from this doc. They did a whole Twitter Spaces. This is the summary. DJT was Barron's idea. Barron Trump, Donald Trump's son. Barron was going to launch it. Barron forced Trump to allow him to launch it because he was afraid that Donald Trump Jr., his stepbrother, would launch it before him. There's DM proof. There's proof of claims through DMs. Martin Shkreli wanted a single-digit percentage of Barron's profits if it did well. He did not own any tokens. Barron would get 100% of the profits. Nobody was collecting fees. Trump gave Barron, his son, the okay for the token, but he said it was dumb because there's already one. So Trump was like, you can do it, but it doesn't make sense because we already have a stock. So it's not like Trump was super like excited to do this. Barron met with Pirate Wires, that was the media company that leaked the news, prompting the post. Melania, his mom, was supposed to confirm it. Barron got cold feet after someone made a $100 million bet. Martin was going to use a billionaire for the $100 million to collateralize it. Barron now has said sorry. Someone named Ansem, you guys don't know Ansem, who he is on Twitter, but this is like the largest Twitter account for Solana. He has over 400,000 followers. Apparently he was involved, and there's DMs showing that he was involved. The CEO of Kraken, one of those crypto exchanges, was also involved via Zoom, like a Zoom meeting to potentially list DJT on Kraken, which would have opened it to millions of users to potentially buy it. Patrick Bet David and Logan Paul were supposed to post about it and pump it on Twitter. 20% of the supply was going to be held for the Truth Social airdrop. For those that don't know what an airdrop is, it's basically when a coin can give away some of their coins for free, kind of like a stock issuing some shares to like insiders, like restricted stock options that are heavily undervalued before the stock goes up. That's what an airdrop is. And 20% of the supply was going to be held for users of Truth Social, which is about a couple million users. And then Martin overheard Barron talking on the phone about DJT with his dad. And then the final point about this, the reason Martin Shkreli even got involved is because he wanted Barron Trump to be a billionaire. I don't know why he wanted Barron Trump to be a billionaire, but he wanted Barron Trump to be a billionaire. Maybe he wanted Trump to get reelected and this was going to help him or something. And so that's why Martin Shkreli ended up engaging in this process. I mean, dude, like, this is insane, dude. This is like, tell me that's not insane. Tell me that's not absolute insanity. Like, when I read this morning, I was like, what is going on? So DJT, the reason I think this is down 13% is because maybe the market's just like, you know what, this guy is messing around with meme coins and this and that. And it doesn't even seem like it's Trump's fault here. Maybe it seems like it's his son's fault who really wanted to do this. But that's why DJT is down. Palantir holding 2640, not bad. Insane story. It's got to be an insane story. And the characters that are involved are just incredible. But that's what's happening. SMCI below 1,000 now at 995. Solar Edge getting hit even more. Enphase down 6%. Robinhood taking a little bit of hit again. Bitcoin getting hit. That's hurting Robinhood right here, 2162. People probably also taking some profits on Robinhood. I mean, Robinhood has run up a lot this year, so it makes sense that people are taking some profits. I am still bullish on Robinhood. I think $25 by end of the year is very possible. When we melt up, cut rates, bull market, their June number is going to be crazy with the 1% deposit match. And as Bitcoin goes higher, that's going to help Robinhood as well. Nvidia, 139.84. That's fell a little bit from 140. Bitcoin, oh, wow, below 65,000. There you go. So that's hurting Bitcoin as well. Coinbase is down. Walgreens is up a little bit. SoundHound is up 3%. Broadcom is down a little bit. It was up last week. Makes sense. Intel's up a little bit as well. Palo Alto Networks down 1.54% on the day as well. We got some coverage here on Nvidia on CNBC, so let's actually go to that. This is from Bernstein. Let's listen to what they're saying. We got Karp probably in about 10 minutes, who will be live.
It's had. I think it was mid-60s before the run started a year ago. But if you look at kind of like the trajectory of where they're on, you look at where the numbers are going, like it's not surprising that the stock has had the run that it's had. And we'll revisit the target in good time. depending on how things go. So
yeah, there's no doubt.
I would say don't take it too serious. Don't take the individual sell side target too seriously at any given point in time.
No, you're right, and it's been hard to keep up with Nvidia in general. But I do want to get it.
It's a good problem to have.
For sure. Yeah, if you've been recommending it, no doubt about it. I do want to drill in a little bit, though, on sort of the valuation where it has been before, because I've been trying to make the point that it was at a higher forward PE when the forward estimates were way, way too low. In the last 4 quarters, they were low by 50%, or even actually 100%. So in other words, it really a year ago was trading at 22 times the earnings we got, not 45 or 50. So I wonder where that sits now in terms of whether you think the earnings outlook on a consensus basis has caught up with what reality is likely to be.
Yeah, I would say I think the buy side, my clients, their expectations are probably above where the sell side is, which is not an atypical sort of thing, frankly. But yeah, I think the sell side estimates for next year, you're probably mid 30s in EPS. I'm sure the buy side is $40 plus for next year. So
you're talking pre-split numbers.
I'm sorry, pre-split. Divide all those by
chop a zero off. But you're right. Yeah.
Meaning the buy side thinks $4, the sell side thinks about $3. If Nvidia put up $40 EPS post split, the company will be like $15 trillion. It would be insanity.
They're off, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why, frankly, why the stock has been running. It's because of that, And this is, I always say, like, the numbers that are really important. It's not my numbers or my colleagues' numbers. It's my clients' numbers. Like, where are those buy side expectations? That's why stocks sometimes will go, they'll go up on bad prints or down or down on good prints sometimes if you don't meet like those buy side expectations. I do think buy side expectations are higher, but I don't think the buy side expectations are nuts either. Like they're very plausible given the trajectory they've been on, the product cycles that they have. They're launching a brand new cycle and end of this year. They'll have all of next year to sell it at higher ASPs, higher content, and frankly, even higher demand. Like the demand showing no signs of slowing at this point.
Yeah, and Jensen has said we're going to see a lot of Blackwell revenues this year. Stacey, I'm wondering how you think about how much share of the market of the AI spend for chips, et cetera, is going to NVIDIA versus competitors. What we've seen in AMD in the past month or so is a real drop-off, and I'm wondering where you see that sort of rivalry, if you could even call it that at this point.
Frankly, the most relevant second source, it's probably not even the other merchant suppliers like AMD and Intel. It's folks like Broadcom, who are making chips for the hyperscalers, who are by and large doing their own chips, at least for their own internal workloads. And like Broadcom, their AI like revenue guide for this year is like 11 billion or more. And I bet of that 11 billion, 7 or 8 of it is probably like what they call ASICs, but these custom chips that they're making for Google and Meta and that sort of thing. AMD, they've said, quote unquote, more than $4 billion. I suspect investor expectations are closer to 5 to 6, which I don't want to knock AMD too much. It was 0 a year ago. So, even 0 to 4 over a year is a lot. Intel said they'll do 500 million in the back half. It's a drop in the bucket. I mean, Nvidia is probably going to do $100 billion, though. You can kind of see where the dollars are flowing. But that's sort of a breakdown of where share is today. Nvidia's still got the lion's share. They'll probably keep it.
Hey, Stacey, I wonder if you are moved by commentary out of NVIDIA about various business silos, whether that's their mention of driving and Tesla on the call or his appearance with Antonio Neri and discussions about HPE. Do any of those make you think differently about their customer base?
Well, I think it's clear that their customer base at least is broadening out. So they still have a lot of concentration at the large hyperscalers, which makes sense. Those are the guys with the big wallets. But I think they said on their last earnings, I can't remember the exact numbers. It was like low 40s or mid 40s% was like large cloud vendors and consumer internet companies.
Okay, let's give a call to Chris. Let's get his perspective on what's going on in NVIDIA. So let's get our own contributor on the show and see what he has to say. We just heard a bull case from this guy thinking $40 or $4 EPS is possible. Let's hear from Chris. Chris Patel, how are you?
Good. I was watching the stream, debating people with the whole Palestine-Israel thing on the chat, which so was fun, because every conversation eventually devolves into that anyway. But
of course,
but
well,
yeah.
every conversation has to be political. So Yeah, you know, people get emotional for that stuff. Nvidia's at 140, all-time high right now. It's going kind of crazy. You just heard the bull case on CNBC. I mean, all of us know the bull case. The estimates are $4 EPS next year. Put a 30, 35 multiple on that. You get to 120, 150, that range. What is your gut feeling? What are you thinking right now about how Nvidia is playing out?
I mean, I'm looking at this from a business angle, right? Where right now Nvidia is enjoying its time in the sun, right? It's well deserved because right now they are on the cusp of that AI revolution. And they are basically the single monopoly that's providing all these chips and everything else to make quote unquote AI work. But, you know, we have to really take a step back and dissect what AI really is and what is actually happening. What I'm seeing from the data that I'm looking at is, number one, what we're seeing right now with quote unquote AI, it's not real AI. It's actually just machine learning plus. Basically what's going on is you're feeding all this data, the computers are learning, and then they're just regurgitating data based on probability. And they're saying that that's actually AI, and it's not artificial intelligence. It's actually just machine learning kicked up a notch. And yeah, it's a very interesting thing, but I think the use cases are a lot more limited than people think. And I think the hardest part to any time to basically any of these bubbles is calling a top.
Yeah.
But there are indicators that kind of like show you when demand could start falling off. And you know, this is very similar to any hype cycle where you have this giant movement of people and capital moving into the markets and basically bidding up the future. And the problem is, it's not so much that the thesis is wrong, it's just the timing on the value creation part is wrong. So, you know, we could look at a couple of examples of this. Like number one, the internet, right? When we look back at the 2000 thing, everyone knew the internet was the future. The problem was the timelines that everyone was, putting out there were a little bit over exaggerated. Same thing with EVs. You know, you look at EV market, everyone was like, oh my God, EVs are the future. And I agree. I think EVs are the future, but that doesn't mean you should pay, ridiculous sums of money in today's realm just so that you think it's the future. So, I mean, I think the hype cycle is there. It's getting higher and higher. I personally would not short NVIDIA because number one, NVIDIA is a cash flowing business. Whenever you have a ton of cash coming in, you can lever, you can pull a lot of different levers.
Would you sell NVIDIA right now if you had like let's say a $800 average, $80 average, basically?
I'd say just sell a little bit and buy some puts. Long-term puts right now are pretty cheap on NVIDIA if you think about it, and you get to sleep well at night, going way out into the future. Like imagine right now you're up 400% on NVIDIA. You have a great position, you have a great average. You still think there's a ton of room to run. You know what? Maybe it's not a bad idea just to take a little bit off the top and buy some protective puts that are long dated, right? So that this way, just in case NVIDIA crashes, goes down by 60,
let me give you the counter though,
yeah.
Chris. The reason I said $80 is because you just said if you're up 400%, which means your average is closer to like, I don't know, $20, $30, $40, like stuff like that. If you have such a hard margin of safety, such a large margin of safety of 400%, and NVIDIA dips, or NVIDIA maybe is a little toppy right now, what is the point of selling if you have such a good average because you know how the story plays out? It means you would have to think there's a collapse where your 400% turns into 40%, versus if you have an $80 average, I understand why maybe there's an arbitrage right there. But if you're sitting low on your average, do you still think that makes sense to sell a generational company like NVIDIA?
As someone who bought Cisco in 1999, rode the wave really, really high, and then said, you know what, this is still a generational company. They had to wait until 2015 to see that kind of high again. Okay. Had that person bought some protective puts prior to the bubble collapsing, they would have at least been able to capture all those gains and assign all those shares at that higher price to somebody else. So right now, that's why you buy insurance, dude. You buy insurance before you get into the car crash, not after you've already hit the wall. So the opportunities in terms of going negative, in my opinion, is actually more in SMCI and probably less so on Dell, but SMCI especially.
So what do you make of
main
that?
re-
SMCI and Dell got a big deal for Elon's XAI. Do you think this pump makes sense, or it's just a lot of hype?
It's a lot of hype. I think it's a lot of hype. Not to say that there's no value in it, but this is a low margin business. Incremental revenue moves higher does not translate into enough of a profit to basically justify the current valuation. Now, the other problem that you're going to run into is that you need people to keep spending like this into the future in order to maintain this kind of valuation. The question is, can AI, quote unquote, hardware services be a growth driver forever at the same rate that it's driving at right now? Of course not. It's impossible to have 100% revenue growth year over year for the next 5, 10, whatever years that you're thinking. So I think right now the valuations have gone a little too crazy especially with Supermicro. And I was a big proponent of Supermicro, by the way, when it was in its early stages, because the valuation was actually really low at the time. Right now it's on the opposite end on the curve. And the one thing I hope you take some time to explore is, if you're saying right now, let's go back to what Alex Karp said. Alex Karp said, number one,
I was just about to ask you. So we're gonna have Karp on in a second, but before that, let me get your take on Palantir at $26. We can end it there. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's overvalued. The numbers speak for themselves. That's something that it's going to be based on the eye of the beholder. CodeStrap did a DCF model. DCF came back at 12. I'm not a big firm believer of DCFs anyway, but I do think that the valuation is a little stretched. But then again, when the market is irrational, everyone is going to pile it. I'm telling you, the bigger thing to look at right now is the commoditization of LLMs. If LLMs become commoditized and basically the value keeps shrinking and going down, what ends up happening is now the future demand for these things is going to become a lot less worth it. Right now, you have all these companies, like Amazon, Google, what is that called? Lambda Labs. All these guys are buying up all this extra GPUs, putting it into these data centers and renting them out. I've been checking the rentals, and number one, the availability of GPU rentals is starting to go up, which means that number one, there might not be that much demand. And then at the same time, you're seeing discounting happen on some of the other ones like the A100, the H100. So as those things get discounted, the value proposition for these companies to buy more GPUs becomes a lot less. Right now, NVIDIA sells these guys $50,000 GPUs. These guys are making about $200,000 plus renting them out, right?
Right.
But the thing is, eventually, that market dynamic is going to turn the other way. It's almost like what happened with Bitcoin at one point, if you remember, where everyone was buying these GPUs so they could mine Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else. But then, it got to the point where there was so much mining happening, right, that the value of mining forward ended up dropping, and then people were just like, hey, I don't want to keep these GPUs.
Yeah, the growth of that demand has to continue. Otherwise, this whole thing collapses. You're right. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. Right now, all these LLMs, everything is coming up, but the incremental improvements in these LLMs is not nearly the next stage that you need it for these companies to keep putting more and more money on it. Even Zuckerberg and all these guys are explaining very clearly that they're literally taking money and throwing it into a dumpster fire because Meta doesn't actually rent out their stuff, like at least the other guys from a cloud perspective, they rent things out. So I think overall, this is something that we have to keep an eye on, keep a track of the GPU rental availability and also the GPU rental pricing. If you see the rent pricing drop and you see availability increase, you best believe that forward demand for more NVIDIA GPUs, whether that be Blackwell or whatever the other one is called, it's not going to be there. And if it's not there, then NVIDIA is going to, have to basically come out and say, hey, our guidance is lower. And if they have to lower their guidance, everyone is going to wake up and be like, holy shit, we need to dump NVIDIA now. In which case, everyone is going to be trying to get out the door at the same time. So.
All right. That is the bear perspective from Chris. Or not even bear, I would say, just more skepticism. I'm putting Chris's Twitter in the chat for those that haven't followed him. It's always good to get a little bit more perspective on what's happening and, if this demand is sustainable. And I think it's a decent bear case for why, if that demand is not sustainable, then this thing collapses. But if you believe in Jensen that it is sustainable, then it goes higher.
Reach out into your network. Ask what the current rental costs for these GPUs are and what they are going to be a year from now or 2 years from now, right? And watch if there is demand drop off, which I think is going to eventually happen as these models become less and less profitable to both investors and to companies that are utilizing some of this stuff. You got yourself a huge problem, you know.
All right. Thank you, Chris. His Twitter in the chat. You guys can check him out if you don't follow him on Twitter. And we'll talk next time.
Take care.
Take care. All right. Karp is not on CNBC yet, guys. We just got a bear case from Chris. Let's balance it out with someone who just came on CNBC and decided that they're raising their S&P target again. This is like the fifth bank in a week raising their target. Let's hear from them. I'll switch it to Karp as soon as he's on. Right now, he's not on yet.
Day just raised his year-end S&P 500 target to 5,600. It's up from 5,100. In his view, it's all about the mega caps. I want to bring in Scott Kroner, head of U.S. equity strategy at Citi Research. Make the case, my friend.
Well, thanks, Andrew. I think the setup here is, when you think about it, fairly straightforward. When you look at the year-to-date index return, the way we break it down is that when we ran the math at 14% or so for the S&P, 5 percentage points of that came from Nvidia, 4 percentage points came from the rest of the Mag 7. That left the remaining 493 within the S&P contributing about 5%. Essentially, what's been happening here is that the fundamental beat and raise dynamic for Nvidia and the rest of the Mag 7 has stood out this year and has lifted expectations for that cohort of companies that in turn has influenced where broader S&P earnings are going. So to a certain degree, what we're really doing here is truing up our starting point for the year 5,100, which assumed a contribution from the Mag 7, but not to the extent that we're getting right now. So where we go from here, we're still looking for a very strong earnings follow through for that component of the market going into the end of the year.
Right.
We are looking for a contribution from the rest of the Mag 7. That becomes more of a story as we head into 2025, though.
Scott, what's your Fed prognostication in all of this? What does it require to get to the 5,600 number? And by the way, obviously the 5,100 has already been blown through. So unless you thought the whole thing was going to reverse, this is not wild.
That's the point of this, is that this is fairly fundamentally premised. What you really have to get comfortable with is that the multiple for the S&P is going to hold in this 22 and a half range, which is roughly where we are currently, but it's predicated on the fundamental backdrop for the Mag 7. Now, in terms of the interest rate environment, heck, we've argued for some time now that the mega cap growth part of the market has actually benefited from higher Fed funds rates as a function of the interest they earn on their cash. Now, in terms of the Fed outlook from here, the Citi Economics view is first cut in September, 3 cuts for this year. I know consensus is closer to 1. I'm less concerned. I want to know that the pivot is coming. And in terms of a less restrictive Fed, we do think we're seeing some fraying around the edges more broadly in the economy. And I think the Fed's going to be in place to ease later on. That becomes more of an influence on the 25 fundamental outlook than it does fundamentals for the back half of 24, though.
Again, more people saying earnings growth is going to be there, which justifies the multiples that people think are excessive. If the earnings growth is there, which we're going to see, we're going to get earnings Palantir 2617 in about a month. Earnings will start again. We'll get back into the grind of all the big companies that are going to report. And ask yourself a question. How do you think your Q2 went as an individual human being? Did you buy less stuff? Did you travel less, right? If you feel like you've fundamentally changed your way of life, maybe it'll affect companies. If not, maybe companies are going to put up some good numbers, especially the big tech players, and that'll be overall good for the market. If companies don't put up numbers, yeah, it's going to be a tough market. But if they do, which is what everyone thinks they will, then things might not be too bad. Karp not on CNBC yet. We got the Accenture CEO talking about AI demand right now. We know Accenture does work with Palantir right here. Palantir 2626 on the day. S&P at 548. Ethereum at 3,500. Apparently, someone put in the chat that DJT is down because they did a share offering. I can't find the exact number of shares they did. By the way, Roger Stone, who is a part of the Trump campaign, he said Barron and Trump are not involved. So just to give some, just to put it out there, to be objective here, Roger Stone says Barron is not involved. Now, granted, he could be just saying whatever he wants to say, but they are denying that Barron's involved with the DJT meme token. I can't see the share offering. How much? I don't see it on any of my news sources. If anyone knows, let me know, because then that is news. I mean, that's definitely a reason why it could be down. Yeah, the Karp thing is coming up probably in like 2 minutes, so I'll have that ready to go. And we'll see. We'll see if the stock moves while Karp is talking well. The Israel thing is interesting to me because I didn't think they would talk about it today. Potentially they're launching a new initiative, potentially a new collaboration. The Pfizer CEO and Karp together. I have no idea what they could be announcing. It makes sense that they're doing a PR or some type of press announcement today because Palantir put out 2 other deals that they got. So probably makes sense that they are going to continue working together in some capacity. Or going to be like even piling on even more news. But the question is going to be, what is that announcement and what Palantir ends up saying? What's going on with Robinhood? Bitcoin, again, is the main reason why I think Robinhood is falling. Unfortunately, Robinhood is still pegged to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin comes down, Robinhood's going to get a little bit of a hit. We're just sharing it right now without the volume. Once Karp is on, we'll put on the volume. One thing I did post about Twitter yesterday, and I'll go more in depth after the Karp thing, but in my opinion, I believe the 1% match that Robinhood offered was innovation. And I got some pushback yesterday from the FinTwit bulls saying, or for the FinTech bulls saying, oh, this is not innovation, giving people 1% match. I disagree. There's no other brokerage that I know of, Wealthsimple is doing it up to like 15,000 or whatever, that is giving you 1% on every dollar you put into their platform forever. The level of innovation you need from a unit economics perspective and a business model perspective to be able to be able to do that profitably, and Robin has done that for about $5 to $7 billion already for the past 4 quarters profitably. I think that's highly innovative. I mean, what matters for fintechs is CAC and LTV. Fintechs pay so much money to get people into the door, and then they hope that converts over the long term. Robinhood took that to the most extreme level. We will pay you whatever we can give you for eternity with this 1% match if you keep putting in money. I mean, I don't know how much more innovative you can get in terms of a customer acquisition method that leads to lifetime value. And all their numbers are showing that if they get you into the system and you're a gold subscriber and you get the 1% match, then you will keep putting in excessive amounts of money, which net deposits fuels every fintech's business cycle and their life cycle. So I think that's actually very innovative. I think anyone denying that that's innovative is just like a hater, quite frankly. And the fact that they have a business model that has commission-free trading and all the other innovations inside of Robinhood that allows them to have 90% of their costs to be fixed so that the unit economics on the 1% match makes sense for them to still be profitable, that to me is the most important part of how they've been able to do this. Okay, I think we've got Karp coming up. Let's see.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Crypto companies are pouring millions into Washington ahead of this year's election. Emily Wilkins joins us.
Okay, no, we're still doing crypto. All right, so we'll get back to it when it's not crypto. It probably is later it's probably at 10:30. It's 10:28, so probably in a little bit. Future Investing says fintech bulls makes it sound like I was also saying this. It was just DDI. No, it wasn't Tanner, but there were people outside of data-driven investing that were commenting on that post that were agreeing with him, and I was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" I really tried to respect the argument, and I was like, innovation is defined purely as doing something that other people aren't doing, right? Like, can we just all agree if you are innovative if you're doing something the rest of the world isn't doing? Because by the very nature of you doing it and no one else doing it, you're different. You're innovating. Even if you're doing something that historically has already been done, if no one else is doing it, it's because you know how to do it better than everyone else. So you're innovating in that space. And if everyone else could do it, it wouldn't be an innovation because it would be, it would be a commoditized form of go-to-market, customer acquisition, whatever that everyone can do. If no one can freaking do it and you're doing it, to me, that is innovating on a way to grow the business. And so there were some people agreeing with data-driven when he was like, this is not innovative. I was like, what are you talking about? That's like, it absolutely is innovative to me. Chris says innovation is doing something better and cheaper than everyone else. Well, I would say this is innovative as well. This is way better of a deposit match program than anyone else. No one has given 1%. And I would say it's cheap because they get 2%. See, here's the argument. If Robinhood gets 2% yield on their assets under custody, why do they get that 2% yield? Because they've innovated in so many parts of the business, commission-free trading, crypto, cash sweep, all the margin, everything they've done to be able to get that 2%, which is why they can afford to give you 1%, which is why it's cheap for them, theoretically, to bring in all this money and still pay out that 1% match. So that to me is an innovative approach, which is cheaper and better than everyone else. SoFi at one point did a 2% match, but it was capped at $8,700. And so the argument was, oh, well, SoFi's done this before. It's like, well, why'd they stop? Because SoFi would not be doing $3 billion in deposits when Robinhood's doing $11 billion if they could keep giving. If SoFi was giving people 2% to put their money in, a lot of people would be putting more of their money in, even if SoFi was giving 1%. They stopped because they did not have the business model and unit economics to continue doing that, because they did not have the technology innovations inside of the business model to create enough fixed costs, which would allow and facilitate the ability for them to give 1% on every deposit back to their users. Robinhood does. That to me is innovation. And so I think it makes sense that Robinhood has been incredibly innovative this year. Now it's just a question of them to be able to continue that momentum. GameStop's up. Where's GameStop? Palantir still at 26. GameStop 25.30, up 2.4%. All right. So GameStop's up a little bit. Let me know if you disagree in the chat. Please let me know if you disagree. If you disagree that it's not innovative. And I look, I get it. On a surface level, conventionally, is it innovative? You could argue no. But I think if you just dig a little deeper, it is very innovative to give 1% of every single dollar in perpetuity back to your users, because you need to have a business model that allows you to do that. And I think Robinhood does. Karp's still not on yet. It'll probably be on maybe after this commercial break. We'll see. People say I'm not bearish enough on Robinhood, so I'll be a little bearish right here. Antonio says trading 212 in the UK is better. I'll agree. I think Robinhood has kind of sucked in the UK. They've not introduced ESAs or options or all this stuff. So look, people say I'm not bearish enough. It's hilarious when people are like, oh, you're not. I'm like, dude, I've given so many bear cases for this company, but they fucking executed. Like, what do you want me to do? If they're doing $1 billion buyback, they're cutting margin rates, they're growing deposit. Like, yeah, it's hard to be bearish sometimes when they're executing. But one thing I can be bearish about is in the UK, they really haven't marketed. They haven't expanded. We didn't get any feedback from the company on how the UK launch is doing. So they probably suck in the UK, to be honest. They're probably not growing at all in the UK. But granted, the UK is just a small part of the business. And so it doesn't matter that much in the broad scheme of things. Innovation is not giving 1% back. It is in how they're able to do it and still gain. Yeah, and I guess I would agree with that. It's not the literal giving of the 1% back. It's the fact that they're able to do it and be profitable, which is innovative to me, which is what I meant. It's an innovative approach to customer acquisition. It's not literally you're going from 0 to 1, right? It's just giving money back. But the fact that you're able to do it in fintech, which is the hardest place to like do customer acquisition, that to me is innovative. Cool. Palantir's forming a bull flag. Yeah, Palantir, again, is in this cup and handle that the TA male astrologists keep telling me about. And so I'm going to believe that it's in a cup and handle. There's a bull flag, you know, there's definitely an American flag probably as well. And so, I mean, well, look, we're holding 26, man. It's not bad. We're holding 26. We dipped to 25.77, went right back up to 26. We're holding it. If they allow options in the UK, it would go crazy. Yeah, I agree. And they're honestly, they're probably so stretched thin on all the things they have to do. There's only 2,300 employees. It's not a lot of people. So granted, that's not an excuse. They got to figure that out. But I think there's a lot of catalysts towards the end of the year. There's a new web trading version. There's a credit card, more UK expansion, a lot of stuff that can help them. All right, let's see if Karp is on. We got some breaking news on CNBC. Let's go to that real quick. And then we have some macro news. Okay, let's see what CNBC is saying. And then we'll keep going from there.
NBC News update. The first named storm of the season, Tropical Storm Alberto, made landfall this morning in Mexico, bringing heavy rain and flooding its Gulf Coast and Texas. The National Hurricane Center says the storm has maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour and that moderate coastal flooding is still likely this morning. The Philippine military chief is demanding China return several rifles and equipment seized by the Chinese Coast Guard earlier this week. Philippine officials say Chinese personnel on more than 8 motorboats repeatedly rammed and boarded 2 of the country's Navy inflatable boats on Monday to prevent the transfer of food and supplies to a Philippine territorial outpost. China is blaming the Philippines for the confrontation. And Travis Scott was arrested early this morning in Miami Beach, just 8
Okay, that's big news. I'm actually a bit of a Travis Scott fan, so that's interesting.
days before he is set to start his European tour. The rapper has been charged with disorderly intoxication as well.
Bro, what is up with all these people getting drunk? Did you guys hear Justin Timberlake as well? He got drunk as well, and he got a DUI in New York, which was crazy. So, I mean, we got a lot of these celebrities for some reason that are getting hit. Okay, the Palantir thing is up. Palantir thing is up. Here we go. Here we go.
CEOs from Oracle, Pfizer, Palantir, and others met with senators on both sides of the aisle this week to press for the release of hostages taken by Hamas, advocate for Israel, and fight anti-Semitism. Our Sarah Eisen spoke with a few of them, the CEOs of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, and Alex Karp of Palantir, as well as the mother of American and Israeli hostage Hirsch Goldberg. She asked why they were in D.C. and what they hope to accomplish.
Obviously, lots of things we're trying to accomplish, but in my humble opinion, the rise of anti-Semitism, which is often linked with being virulently anti-Israel and, quite frankly, being virulently anti-West, arises because we do not have public unity around values that most of us support. And I think the most poignant, obvious example is we have 8 Americans being abused, probably including sexually abused, in a dungeon. And we have to, I think most Americans want to know that America will act quickly when Americans are kidnapped, abused, murdered. And I think one of the reasons why you see people excusing this, celebrating this, often masked and terrorizing people, including people talking about the events on October 7th, is because they're dancing on a party of our disunity, when in fact most Americans believe that what happened on October 7th, and especially what happened to Americans, should trigger an automatic response that is punishing for people that dare to touch Americans, and prison, torture, and rape American citizens. And getting a bipartisan group of politicians, senators, which in today's landscape is unusual, getting business leaders to speak up was basically historic. And so I'm proud to be part of this. And obviously, you know, I don't have the same role as somebody whose son is in a dungeon now, but I'm doing my best. We're doing our best to show that there's a lot of unity, especially among the corporate elite.
Yeah, how, Rachel, did you get hooked up with the business leaders? And what was your primary message today?
Well, I actually had the privilege back in January of being invited to the World Economic Forum in Davos through actually Alex and Palantir. And there was an event that they had one night where they opened a forum for hostage families to talk to influential and powerful CEOs of companies all over the world. And that is where I met Albert and many others. And so this came about sort of springing forth from that initial meeting back in January. And when I went today, I didn't know what to expect. And it was such a pleasant surprise to see the unity of this bipartisan flavor in the room of people coming together. This is not a right or left issue. This is not a Democratic or Republican issue. This is a human issue.
I was at that event in Davos, Rachel. You are a force, and I know you have been delivering this message far and wide. But it's so interesting because corporate America has not led on this. So I am just wondering what has compelled you, Albert, to speak out, to do this interview. Go ahead, Alex. Sure, take it up.
Look, I can't speak. I'm not representing corporate America. I'm representing myself. And I speak as a human being that cares deeply about what is going on over there. Since the day I met Rachel, I have nightmares thinking about her, because the story came inside my heart in such a profound way. So I'm not going to stop speaking until all 120 are free.
Alex, go ahead.
You know, it's a fair and legitimate critique. I think for too long, the best version of it is corporate America assumed we could outsource moral discussions and leadership unless it was an easy question. Obviously, it's an easy question, and you can have a platitude where people clap and you can go back to business. People obviously love that. It's a free ride. But on issues where leadership does mean you're going to have difficult, hard conversations with people, and you may lose a couple friends, and you're going to get disinvited from the family wedding. But, you know, in America, leaders, especially people who are leading interesting businesses, have a unique role in shaping the way in which people think and what they do. And this is an issue where to speak up is going to require absorbing inbound. And that's how you know you're doing something important.
Alex, what do you want to see the U.S. government do?
Well, luckily for the world, no one's putting me in charge of the U.S. government. But were I in charge, I would have a policy that any American that is in any way abused, especially including murder, assault, and kidnapping, you would know that you and the people involved would pay a high price, and I would begin to persecute. That across the globe, and I would use this as an example, and I would make it clear to adversaries. You can scream, you can abuse the United Nations, you can undermine the rule of law, which would also push back on. These rulings in the ICC are completely ridiculous. But if you touch our citizens, including citizens I don't like, don't agree with, do not support me or Palantir, we will exact a price from you and we will free them.
Rachel, what's your message to corporate America watching right now?
Well, first of all, I think that it takes tremendous courage to stand up and do the right thing. And I think even people who are very powerful and influential, who are in corporate America, have to look themselves in the mirror at night before they go to bed, and they know the right thing to do. They know the ethical, moral thing to do. And I know that it's complicated because people have interests and people have equities, and you have to worry about what you're going to say to your board members and what are going to be the gains. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to know that you are actually answering to your inner self. Are you being brave? Are you doing the right thing? Are you saying the right thing? And I would like to encourage you to have that strength, to find that conviction, to do what will make you proud to be who you are.
How big of a problem do you think anti-Semitism is in America right now, Albert?
I think it's very big. I think it's rising. I don't say that it is what defines America right now, but I'm speaking to so many people that they are of Jewish or non-Jewish origin, and they have never seen something like that in their lives before. What can you say about a poster, kill all hostages, outside an event that speaks about a music festival? It's unbelievable, the hate that you are living right now.
So, Alex, my question is, what can companies like yours do to fight this, both internally and externally? We've seen so many companies rally around social issues in the past few years. What about this one?
Look, I don't know how many companies are going to publicly rally around the issue of fighting against anti-Jewish bias. But I am committed to speaking publicly to cajole people into doing it. I would say that, Jews are a 0.2% of the world population and a much larger percentage of people doing interesting things. And so there's a lot of vulnerability. People, what I'd say Jewish Americans and Israel stands for as different, but it's, are you allowed to be exceptional? Are you going to be punished for being exceptional? Is our society going to allow institutions to be exceptional and the people in those institutions to grow based on their talents and their integrity? And I see it as being very important to get corporate leaders to speak out about the general issue, because anti-Semitism is a negation of, do we believe that there will be accomplishment? Is accomplishment going to be fair? If somebody is disproportionately accomplished, do they become persecuted? And we need to get everybody who's doing things that are important, not just corporate America, building, arts, people involved in all sectors of life who are pro-accomplishment to speak out against this regressive movement. And I'm a little more optimistic than I was in the past, because I can tell you, in private, nearly everyone doing anything is aghast at anti-Semitism and wants nothing to do with anti-Semites. The key issue is, can you get people to go in public? And that's what we're working on.
A lot more from the conversation, including the threat of anti-Semitism and what business can do to fight it. That's coming up in the next hour.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here.
All right, so that's what we got from Karp. Look, he didn't say anything that we don't know already. He continued to stress his support for Israel, his belief that anti-Semitism is indeed a problem that needs to be combated, and his other belief that public CEOs aren't saying enough about this issue more broadly. Palantir right now, 2640, a little bit green after he talked. And I mean, look, I don't think we expected anything different from Karp. He was going to say what he was going to say. He vocally is supportive of Israel, and he's very supportive of people actually speaking up. Back when the attacks did happen, he was, Palantir, they put out a New York Times ad. They were one of the first companies to publicly embrace them. I don't think also that means he agrees with everything the Israeli government is doing. I think Karp has also said that before. He's not on board with every single decision, but broadly, he doesn't believe in a lot of these CEOs that don't like Hamas, but publicly they're afraid to say they don't like Hamas because of their own ideological and dogmatic agendas. So same thing that we heard Karp say for many months now. Continue to echo it here today. All right, that was interesting. We didn't get I don't know if they kind of launched like a pseudo partnership to get public CEOs to talk publicly. I think that's kind of the initiative they're going after. Definitely nothing corporate between Palantir and Pfizer, although I think Pfizer does use their software to an extent. I might be wrong on that. But no like major type of announcement with the two companies themselves. Okay, cool. So that's what we got in the context of Palantir. 2640, Nvidia 138, Robinhood. We got a dip on Robinhood to like 2130, right back up to 2198 right now. So that dip, it happened, and then we got to 2124. Immediately that dip got bought up. I think the market kind of knows what's going to happen with Robinhood, and so that dip a little easy for the market to just buy up and not really care about. Palantir as well dipped to 2577. Now still we're holding 2640, which is incredible, dude. I mean, the fact that we're holding 2640 and that we're in the 26s, I like it. I mean, you can't deny it. I think a run to 27 is possible today, maybe during power hour around 3 p.m. If the market continues to pump, that could happen. But 2640 is not too bad. Yes, XLK, that is rebalancing as well. That is the technology sector ETF. So that rebalance has been talked about over the past couple of days. That rebalance will put in more funds into Nvidia, taking it, I think, away from Apple and into Nvidia. So that might be another reason Nvidia is getting a little bit of a pump. Might not be people just wanting to get exposure, but rather institutional funds having to have exposure. So that could be one of the other reasons why Nvidia is getting some momentum right now. Bitcoin miners. Yeah, again, miners are running. Bitcoin's still struggling. Wow, below 65 at 64.8. Look at that, dude. Again, it's kind of weird, right? All the miners except Iran, all of them are up today, even though Bitcoin's down. Again, it really is signaling that when we get that rate cut and when all these private institutions get the green light from their regulatory bodies to be able to buy Bitcoin and they can get into the ETFs, the inflows are going to explode. And the miners are sick. I mean, the miners should not be up right now. They should not be. CleanSpark should not be up 2%. Well, Bitcoin's down 0.5%. Like that just should not happen. And so maybe that dichotomy is signaling that Bitcoin's getting ready to bottom. And the next move is to the upside. NASDAQ at 20,000 and S&P 500 at 5,500 might act as a resistance, which would have a healthy correction. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, if we have a 5% down, NASDAQ right here at 17,000. Oh, like, yeah, if we get to 20,000, that would be resistance. S&P at 548. What would a 5% correction be right here? That would be 520, right? 520 gets us from 548, roundabout 520. So, I mean, that's not crazy, I think. That would be, yeah, that would literally be 520 bucks. That would be 5%. I don't think that's crazy if we get down. But getting below 500, that would be more of a hardcore correction. And again, the question becomes, given all these strategists we're listening to, what would be the reason why the S&P sells off 5%? Like, what is the argument? I think there's only two things. I think Q2 earnings suck. That could do it. or inflation is still sticky, that could do it. And that rate cut maybe doesn't come until 2025. But other than that, I don't know. Because the frothiness, people wanting to take profits. I mean, look, if you want to take profits, you've taken your profits. It seems like there's a lot of people that just got into the market. They want to put more money to the market. We'll get money market fund data today, and we'll be able to figure out kind of if new money is coming in. I will not be doing the market close today, guys. I'm going to be in New York. I have a couple meetings later in New York, so we'll not be doing the market close today, but we'll be back for the market open tomorrow. But if anyone wants to check it out, and put the link in the chat, you can save it. This is the website for money market funds. I'll probably tweet it, so if you just follow me on Twitter, you can see it as well. But this thing will be updated at like 4 p.m.-ish, and you'll get the money market funds, and you'll see. GME is green. Yep. GameStop's going green. Robin right here, 21.97. GameStop 25.17. Again, I don't know what the catalyst for GameStop is anymore. There's got to be something that happened, and so far, nothing is happening. It's going to another AIP con. There was actually a good picture of AIP con posted. One of the Palantir employees posted it on LinkedIn. Dude, there was such a funny LinkedIn photo. I'm going to tweet this later today, but you guys got to see this. I got 2 notifications. So you guys know Chad. Chad's one of the Palantir employees. He got me out to AIP con. I got a notification from LinkedIn that he reposted something that Sean posted. And then right above that, I get this notification saying, hey, you should follow Sridhar Ramaswamy, the chief executive officer at Snowflake. And I sent this to Chad. I was like, Chad, these 2 notifications don't deserve to be together. Like why are they sending me a Snowflake one right after a Palantir one? I don't want to see that. So yeah, but that was kind of funny when we saw it. No, there's no AIP con happening in New York today. Palantir 2634. What was I about to look at? Oh yeah, Dell. Where's Dell? Wow, Dell sold off. It was at 161. Now it's at 150. SMCI, I'm scared to see SMCI. 992. Well, that's still up 7%. It was at 1,010 or something, but now it's still 992. SMCI kept the gains, even though Dell did not. AMD is up. AMD got a price target upgrade by Piper Sandler. That's their AMD market cap of $269 billion. I think they do $20 billion a year. So they're trading at 10 times, 11 times price to sales. I don't know enough about AMD. Like if I said I was going to buy AMD, it would purely be on the basis that Lisa Su is cool and that AMD is like a mini Nvidia. Otherwise, I have zero fundamental analysis for why AMD deserves to be like the best thing since sliced bread. But people like it and people care about it. They're more in the CPU market versus GPU market. I don't fully understand the business, and even Nvidia I don't fully understand, but I understand it enough to an extent to understand why it's pumping. If AMD ran to 200, I wouldn't understand why. Because the valuation here, the growth is not the same as Nvidia at all. Where's ARM? Is ARM still up today? ARM is down 3%, even though ARM's close to 167. Lisa and Jensen are cousins. Yeah, I do know that. That is kind of crazy though, right? Could you imagine building a multi-billion-dollar company and then your cousin does the same, dude? Like, if they were brother and sister, that would be even crazier, bro. They're cousins. That's wild, bro. I like Intel. Look, I like Intel to wheel, though. I don't like Intel if you think it's going to 50. Could it go to 50? Yes. Because, it's at 31. Great. Me and TJ bought 500 shares of this thing at $30.40. I think the wheel premiums are nice on the covered calls. If you're looking to get it to $50, I think long-term, definitely we get back to $50 over the next 5 years. Short-term, I don't know. But it did swing from 25 to 50 last year. So it came back down because they're not going to be profitable in their foundry business. And they alerted the market that you should factor that into your forward guidance. But I think from a wheeling perspective, it's stuck in a range, which is nice if you want to wheel it. The PE is crazy high on AMD. That is correct. What is their PE? Is it above 100? It's 242. Wow. AMD's. This is what I'm saying, dude. The valuation on AMD I've always been a little weird about because Palantir's PE is lower than AMD's PE. And AMD's, I believe, growing. Well, they're not growing 21% anymore, are they? But they were growing faster for the past few years. So, you're talking about the NASDAQ 100, Akshat. Okay, got you. Makes sense. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. Right now. Couple of other things I wanted to show as well. Okay, let me pull up a couple of things. And again, Palantir still holding that 26, which is not bad. All right, so we went through the Trump thing. A couple things. Okay, so so let's do some macro stuff. So Swiss's national bank, they decided to cut rates by 25 basis points. So although the UK bank, the Bank of England, didn't cut rates, the Swiss bank did. And so now you have Canada, Europe, and Switzerland cutting rates, which is great. But and Denmark, they also did it. But the US and the UK have not. So US and UK, obviously bigger economies. So we're waiting to see if the Swiss National Bank ends up, or because they cut rates, we're waiting to see if the US and UK follow. But that's a good thing. We're seeing one rate cut from Swiss. So now their rates are 1.25%, which is below what they used to be at 1.5. We talked about the price target upgrades. Again, Bernstein, Bitcoin at 200,000. They think that's happening. KeyBank said Meta to 540. So what they said is that daily trends look strong through mid-June, suggesting an even faster acceleration. This signals that the ROI remains attractive and advertisers are seeing returns from Meta's AI products. I don't know how these banks track every little minutia of engagement on the platform, because again, if engagement falls off, advertising falls off. But from their looks, they're saying, look, the engagement is going to be amazing. The ad targeting is going to be incredible. There's probably going to be more ad impressions Meta can serve, so that's going to be good for Meta. Meta right now, where is it at? It's at 500. And that's why they got upgraded. Palantir, AMD's at 166, Palantir 2632, Meta right here at 501 on the day. Are you seeing what's happening with miners? Bitcoin down, but Mara and CleanSpark up? Yep, I think that signals hopefully a bottom to Bitcoin. And we'll see what happens there. Another piece of news that I thought was interesting. So stock market insiders are selling off the market, the largest they have ever done. In a while. All right, wait, hold on. The Swiss National Bank, isn't that in Switzerland? There's no way. There's no way that's in Sweden. Hold on. Swiss National Bank. They're in fucking Switzerland, bro. They're not in Sweden. Are they in Sweden? Is the Swiss National Bank in Sweden? No, it's in Switzerland. Wait, is Switzerland different from Sweden? No, the Swiss National Bank is not in Switzerland. That's not what Google's saying. Okay. Oh, wait, no, you're right. Wait, no, you're right. No, the Swiss National Bank. Look at this. I don't know if their AI is wrong, but it's fucking. Look at this, dude. You can't blame me. The Swiss National Bank. No, the Swiss National Bank is located in Switzerland. My question was, is it in Sweden? They said no, it's in Switzerland. No one can dude. No one gets to make fun of me on that. Switzerland. How could I get that wrong? Like. Google agrees. What does Wikipedia say? The Swiss National Bank. It's in Zurich. Zurich is in Switzerland. Oh my gosh. Dude, what is going on? Is Google lying then? Is Google fucking lying here? I'm right? Joe says I'm right. Switzerland is different from Sweden. I know. That's why I said the Swiss National Bank is the central bank of Switzerland. So I was right. It's not the Sweden bank. It's the Swiss bank. Zurich is a territory. What? Zurich is a territory of Sweden? That's a thing? I thought Zurich was a... What is it? LMAO, it really does come up with some stupid... Okay, so can someone write out bullet points? Is the Swiss National Bank in Switzerland or Sweden? And is Switzerland inside of Sweden as like a fucking municipality or something? Or are they two fucking different countries? The fuck is going on here, bro? America has 50 states. That's it. It's very simple. America, California, Texas. Very simple. I don't know why there's you know why is the UK part of Europe? Because it's near that Europe. Why is the Bank of Europe or the European Central Bank cutting rates, but England is not? Isn't England part of fucking Europe? Isn't why is this so complicated? What the fuck is going on here? Sweden is in the North. What's the Nordics? Where did the Nordics come from? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with that one. Oh my gosh. This is not a good look for America. No, this is not about American education. This is just my geography skills. Have you heard of a subject called geography? No, apparently I have it. And then what was Brexit about, dude? Why did they do Brexit? What was the point of that? I remember debating about that in high school. Like, apparently there was some like nationalist movement or something. Oh, they left the EU. You're right. They did leave the EU. Holy shit, you're right. They did leave the EU. That's why they're. I was wondering today, why is the Bank of England different from the European Central Bank? They did leave. You're right. S&P at 549, Palantir 2633. You're right. There was a Brexit. Damn, I debated about that too. Guys, I was on the National USA debate team. I debated these topics, but it was 10 years ago. Like it was a long time ago. Okay, whatever, dude. The point is the Swiss National Bank, wherever the hell it's located in, they cut their fucking rates, okay? They cut their rates. Is the VIX going up right now? VIX is up. Wow, VIX is up 3.2%. Volatility's up a little bit. S&P's up. NASDAQ's up a little bit. Again, S&P holding 549. Snowflake's down again. Are there any? Let me see the 52-week highs today. Let me see the big movers so far today. What are the big movers today? New 52-week highs today. Nvidia, TSM, Eli Lilly, Walmart, Oracle, Bank of America, Netflix, ARM, Micron. They might not be at the 52-week level right now, but they did hit those levels. Colgate, HPE, eBay. eBay hit a 52-week high. What is going on with eBay? Wow. Yeah, eBay hit that for a second there. Look at that. eBay is now down 1%. Okay, so we got some names moving, and then the broader index, S&P, and the Qs are still up right now. I need to visit Europe, dude. I need to visit Europe. My mom went to Switzerland last summer, and I didn't, or 2 summers ago, I think 2022. And I didn't go. She went with my sister, but I need to go to Europe, dude. Last time I went to Europe was I went to Stuttgart in Germany. So it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been in the Europe place. Come to Belgium. Only if there's Belgian waffles. Only if there's Belgian waffles. Dude, we got to have a European meetup or something one day, dude. Because so many of you guys are from... I didn't think that many of you guys would be from Europe, but like... I got motion in Europe, I guess. The Europeans fuck with the kid. So I guess we gotta go to Europe. I think UK is where a majority of you are from. And so we got to do something. But Europe is all interconnected, right? You can take fucking trains to get to places. So like technically if we did a meetup, it wouldn't be that crazy for everyone to see each other. CRM. Where's CRM? 240. Salesforce up 3%. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Belgian waffles aren't from Belgium. Dude, why is everything I know turning out to be like wrong? Everything I know is turning out to be wrong. How are Belgian waffles not from fucking Belgium? Like they sound the same. Belgium, like I don't understand this stuff. Like what is this European history? Like this is just, we studied European history for a while in 10th grade. I mean, we spent a good year on it that we learned about Nazi Germany, all that stuff. But I don't know. It seems like everything I've been told is fake. Enphase still struggling, down 6%. CleanSpark at $20. Rocket Lab 4.9. Bitcoin 64.9. SMH at 276 right now. Okay, now you guys are trolling. French toast is not French. But it originated in France, right? Hold on. Is French toast from France? Dude, Google better not fuck me on this one. Give me a good answer. Damn it. It's from Rome? Why isn't it called Rome toast then? Why is it called French? It's from 300 AD and appears in the Roman author Apicius's cookbook. Apicius, whatever. Cooking and dining in imperial Rome. The dish was likely made with stale bread and was commonly eaten by poor European families in the Middle Ages. In France, the dish is called pain perdu, which means lost bread. Dude, Europe is stupid. That's what I'm coming to. Europe is dumb. This is just stupid at this point. Okay, I know the fries are not from French either. You guys are from France, whatever. Now you guys are just being funny. Amid, I come with you when you go. Someone has to hold your door. Dude, Adam, me and Adam have got to do a trip around Europe. We got to do some type of trip, Adam. We got to do some type of trip. That would be fun. Me and Adam in Europe, getting to meet you guys. That would be so much fun. And then if Palantir is at like fucking $35 by then or something, that'd be crazy. Dude, do you guys think 27 today is reasonable, or do you think we're being too optimistic? Do you think 27 is reasonable, or we're too optimistic? I know hamburgers are from the United States, okay? At least I can say that. Hamburgers are from the United States. Okay, let me see if there's any other news. Otherwise, we'll end it. We talked about the OpenAI stuff. We talked about the Fed. We talked about insider selling is the most it's ever been in the markets, which Gives you a signal at least some insiders are beginning to take profits. Oh, Netflix announced 2 theme parks. I've been waiting for Netflix to do this for a long time. It's going to be in Dallas and the King of Prussia. I thought this was going to be really cool. All their media, they're turning it into like actual rides. I think it's a great idea. I think this increases the brand value. Now it's going to be capital intensive to build a theme park, but I think it's a good idea. So that one I actually think is bullish news for Netflix. Definitely for Netflix. Hamburgers are from Hamburg, Germany? No, you guys are absolutely fucking with me at this point. There's a place called Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg. You guys are absolutely fucking with me. Oh my God, it's real. Oh my God. Are hamburgers from Hamburg, Germany? Holy shit, dude. Okay, no. I'm not fully wrong. Okay. Gemini is saying that although the name burger might suggest that it originated in the city of Hamburg, Germany, there is no certain and documented connection between the sandwich and the German city. So as an American, I'm going to take credit for the fact that we came up with this shit on like July 4th, 1776. I'm not going to give the Germans credit for this shit, dude. I'm not going to give the Germans. No way. Hamburg. I know Frankfurt and I know Stuttgart. I don't know. I didn't know Hamburg. Hamburg, Germany? Oh, let me look some images of it. What is Hamburg, Germany? Oh, it's kind of beautiful. Really beautiful. It's nice. You're telling me people eat hamburgers here, bro? No, people look like they eat like fine dining or some shit here. You eat hamburgers in like Texas. You know what I'm talking about? Like the aura, the ethos of a hamburger is from the United States, from the South, not from Hamburg, Germany. Did you also think it was made of ham? Okay, that's mean. That's mean. That's mean. That's mean. There's a lot. I'm learning a lot today, dude. You guys think I help explain about the markets? You guys help explain the fucking world to me. Dude, Hamburg, Germany. Who would have thought? Hamburg, Germany. I honestly don't know why they called them a hamburger. I was like, well, it's a United States thing, right? Like at barbecue, you eat fucking hamburgers. All right, there you go. We learned a lot of stuff today. Gene says, I lived in Hamburg for 8 months. That's all they eat there, bro. Hamburger and potatoes. Wow. All right, well, I guess the Germans got that one. I guess the Germans got the hamburger. They can't let me be a public CEO, bro. If I was a public CEO and I was on CNBC, the amount of shit I might say that would fucking dude, I would be funny about like remember when they asked the Dell CEO why he sold all that stock? If I'd be like, because I wanted money. Like I would say, like, dude, you got to give such a politically correct answer. It's such a sensitive topic. There's like billions of dollars that are literally listening to every syllable you say. Like, well, the stock is up 100%, Sarah. You don't think I'm going to sell some stock? Like, obviously you can't say that, but like, I'd be like, I think I need to sell some stock. I need to make some money. Then again, Karp does say whatever he wants to an extent, so he does that. All right, I think that's it for today. Palantir 2642 holding up really well. We'll do word of the day in a second. GameStop 2486, S&P 549. Robinhood recovering a little bit from the decline at 2120, back up to 2187. AMD, nice move around the day, up 7%. Intel's up 1%. CRM's up 3%. HIMS is down 5%. Cisco up a little bit. Nvidia 139. Again, Nvidia up another 2.8%. Then Palantir, star of the day. For those, again, that didn't know, they got 2 new partnerships, a healthcare one, a space one. Not the biggest deals in the world, but Nvidia doing well, the macro doing well. Those 2 new deals, that definitely got the street excited about Palantir today. Okay. Amit, have you covered Anthropic, Claude 3.5, Sonnet? I have not. I heard a little bit about that news. We'll probably cover it tomorrow. We'll go more in depth on that. But I have not covered that yet or looked into that yet. Also, by the way, for those that were not on the market close the other day, I thought a gyro is called a gyro. Like, you know, the shit you eat at fucking like halal guys and stuff? I thought it was called a gyro. Apparently it's a gyro. And so I've learned a lot in the past 2 days, dude. I've learned. That's why we can't miss the market open, market close, because I learn so much every single day that if I miss, like, I literally become dumber. Like now I know hamburgers from Hamburg, Germany. Now I know. Now hamburgers NY, that's where Courtney lives. The only people that'll get that joke are the people that are OGs of the stream. Courtney, goodness gracious. I still want to talk. By the way, speaking of Courtney, I got a text last night from a girl. First time in my life. No, I'm just kidding. I got a text last night from a girl And I woke up at 4 a.m. confused because I had a really weird dream. It was a very weird dream. But I woke up at 4:30 a.m. I got this text at 1:30. I haven't responded to it yet. I don't know how to respond to it. But I got this text, and I don't know what she's trying to say, but she sent me this like thing. And I don't know how to respond. Yeah, 1:52 a.m. You just triggered that thinking that, because the reason I said this is because Courtney, for those that don't know, that's my first grade girlfriend. Yes, I had a girlfriend in first grade. That's just how it was. This girl who texted me was not my girlfriend, but I thought she was going to be my girlfriend a couple years ago, quite frankly. Like, I really thought she was going to, but then it didn't end up happening. I don't know how to respond to that shit. So I still haven't responded to that shit. I don't even like it. I'm just like, all right, it is what it is. But I thought of that because you said Courtney. Okay, what's the word of the day? Word of the day is beak. To bask or warm in a sunshine or before a fireplace, stove, or bonfire.
Beak.
If I said beak wrong somehow, I would I would quit. Like, there's no, so like, I'm really thankful. You know, we had a lot of fuck ups today with historical facts and geographic facts. We needed to make sure pronunciation of the day was going to be okay. So Palantir is beaking right now because it's obviously hot. It's so cozy to beak in front of the fireplace. On sunny days, we can see many lizards beaking in the sun. Yeah, Palantir is hot right now at this $26 range. And so there you go. Palantir got a new FedStar partnership? No, I don't think so. Unless I don't think they did. We will. The space one is not FedStart. But I don't see. Yeah, I don't think there. If there is, I'll talk about it later. But I don't think there's a new FedStar meeting today, or FedStart announcement today. Okay, I think that's it. Words of one syllable. You're safe. Yo, literally, words of one syllable. I'm safe. I'm safe. Chad, what's up, Chad? Oh, dude, why does Chad always join at the worst moments? Chad, I had so much solid analysis. Chad, you got to defend me here. I had so much incredibly solid analysis about the company Chad works at, which was called Palantir today. He chooses to join when I start talking about a random text I got at 1:50 a.m. He always joins at the worst. He joins when I look like I'm an idiot, bro. But if he joined in the first 30 minutes, we were doing some fire analysis about the company that if it goes to $50, let's just say Chad is going to be paid well because his SARs are going to hit. But he always joins at the worst moment. He joins at the worst moment. Right when word of the day starts. Yeah, just right when fucking word of the day starts. It was a good. What did we cover today? I got we covered Nvidia, Palantir, Evercore, Bitcoin, OpenAI, the Trump stuff. Karp was on CNBC. We talked about the macro. But then at the end, he probably joined when I was trying to figure out about Hamburg, Germany, and he was like, "Why the fuck am I watching this guy right now?" He can join at any time, and that'd be true. That's mean. That's mean. Again, guys, no market close today because I'm going to be in New York. It is Palantir related, okay? Yes, it's going to be Palantir related. That's why I'm in New York. So you guys will find out. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. By the way, let's do this because Chad is here. Please follow Chad on Twitter. If you are on Twitter and you do not follow Chad, I'm putting his Twitter right now. I'm not going to see him today in New York, but you guys will see on my Twitter why I'm in New York. It does have something to do with Palantir. Here's Chad's Twitter. Please make sure to follow him. Let me pull it up and make sure you're able to see what he's doing. Chad, I was telling them I was going to tweet the LinkedIn post notification because that was hilarious. I was showing them the actual picture. And because you guys should follow him because he's very keen on all the Palantir news. Chad, it's so hard to find your username sometimes, bro. It's so fucking... Okay, here it is. His username is a little difficult sometimes, but there it is. So please make sure to follow me if you're on Twitter. If you're following me, you should definitely follow Chad. He's a Palantir employee. He's the guy who got me to... And he's not just a Palantir employee. He's one of those guys at Palantir, dude. So he got me out to AIPCon. He actually campaigned for me to be on the halftime show. So very, very grateful for Chad and all the opportunities that he's been able to provide me. And obviously he wants to connect more with the retail investor base for Palantir. He does not live in New York City. He lives somewhere else, which is a lot cheaper than New York City. But I will be going to New York today for some Palantir stuff, and you guys will see it if you're following me on Twitter later today. Fritz said, got my Robinhood Gold card today. Awesome. I love it. A lot of people are complaining that the cards aren't out yet. They will be coming out. Chad is a social media intern. That's actually what we should call him. I mean, quite literally, dude, if you've seen anything on Palantir that's social media related, it's really because Chad is... Oh, there you go, Chad, right? I think either today or yesterday, Chad, you're at 4,000 followers. Look at that. I just refreshed. You just got 11 followers in 1 minute. Amazing. This is his Twitter right here. Please make sure to follow him. The more followers Chad has, the more he's able to get the message out about Palantir. So if you have Palantir stock, I mean, it literally does not hurt to follow. And if you believe in the company, this is one of the, Chad was the first guy ever to come onto Twitter and basically be like, hey, there's all these fucking lunatics that are talking about Palantir. Maybe we should like engage with them. And again, I don't blame Palantir for not doing that for the broader part of 2 years. It's very difficult for a company to embrace social media, retail investors. There's all this legal shit, right? So Chad really spearheaded the company saying, hey, maybe we should like actually talk to these guys. And just gained another 6 followers. Awesome. There you go. So thank you guys for following Chad. He is someone you want to keep in touch with. And he made sure Palantir started to embrace retail. So awesome stuff from Chad. Where can we buy Palantir merch? I think it's sold out, but it's store.palantir.com. I think it's sold out. They're going to reload it soon. But it's sold out pretty quick, dude. If I mean, that right there is a data point that shows how many people are, I mean, I think they have 500 hats got sold out in like a week. So very, very important for the company and for their relationship with retail investors. CTO of SoFi just sold 56,000 shares. That just popped up on my feed. If anyone wanted to see that, that is something that just happened. Can we have Chad on a guest show? Chad says, what would Amit ask me about? Tech stuff? Chad, dude, there's a podcast coming between me and Chad eventually. I mean, like, we haven't done it yet, but like eventually he's got to be on the channel, and you guys will get to see it. If you guys haven't seen his videos, let me just link it real quick. Chad has a voice of, Chad just got another 10 followers. I love it. Thank you guys for following Chad. It's good. You should be really connected with one of the main leaders in Palantir for the community. Chad has a Howard Stern type of voice. There's a famous video that he made about football and AIP. If you haven't seen it yet, you should watch it. I'm putting it right here in the chat. If you like Howard Stern, you're going to like Chad. So if you like Howard Stern from a sonic perspective, you're going to like Chad as well, even if you don't agree with Howard Stern politically. So yeah, I would recommend checking it out. But yeah, if Chad's on the podcast, I'm sure we'll get him eventually. So Chad is also the person that Arnie and I spent 2 hours with him a couple weeks ago, understanding what is an ontology. I told you guys about this, but that was the day I think I finally understood why Palantir is so useful. And like you can hear about it in the press releases and all that stuff, but like once you actually talk to someone who's been doing big data for 20 years, like Chad, and who actually can explain why enterprises give a fuck about paying for it, you start to really see the opportunity. And I think that's where Karp's argument is around ontology and chips versus the delta in terms of how the market interprets Palantir's moat. And so again, Chad is someone who understands that at a deep level. So I think if we do an interview, it will be more technical, because that's the only thing I would care about asking him about that would give value to all of you guys. Like, what is Palantir building that is so different from everybody else, and why is it so special? We got to call him Giga Chad. Yes, we have to call him Giga Chad. So that if we do the podcast, that's what it'll be. When are you trading with TJ again? Every Friday. So tomorrow, literally tomorrow I'll be there. Chad says, working on a video about chips and ontology right now and needed a break, so opened up this stream. Dude, Chad, I thought the Swiss National Bank was in Switzerland. Apparently, it's in fucking Sweden. And I just like, now, next thing you guys are going to tell me that, Toblerone. How do you fuck use it? The chocolate, Toblerone? How do you say that shit? Next thing you're going to tell me that's from like Jamaica or something. Because that I know. That I will bet my entire Robinhood options on the fact that Toblerone, whatever the fuck that chocolate's called, is from Switzerland. How do you say that shit? This thing. Literally the Swiss mountains, the Swiss Alps are on this shit. Toblerone, this thingy. That's from Switzerland, bro. There's no way that's from Sweden or Germany. Yeah, look at that. Switzerland. There you go. Proof. So even if I got hamburgers wrong, Chad, I also thought hamburgers were from America. Apparently they're from Hamburg, Germany. Did not know about that one. But yeah, apparently the bank of the Swiss bank is not necessarily in the places I thought it was going to be in Switzerland. Amit, quit while you're losing. Oh my God. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. Oh, Tom just liked my tweet. Tom Lee. Shout out to the GOAT, Tom Lee. Just like the tweet. We got to S&P 550. Oh, he just retweeted it too. Awesome. All right, cool. We got to get Tom Lee on the show, dude. I haven't really reached out, I think, to the right people to get him on, but he's retweeted like 5 of my tweets like over the past month. I'm sure we can get him on, so we'll get him on eventually as well. Okay, cool. So that's it for me. Tesla says it's been a hard week with the lamb and wool in Sweden and Switzerland and hamburgers. Okay, so it's so crazy because I'm going to New York today. I'm probably going to get lamb over rice. And for those that were not on the market close the other day or the market open, we were looking at lamb for some reason because I think June typed in lamb research or something and she typed it with a B. And so I looked up a lamb and I was like, does anyone eat lamb? Do people even eat lamb? Is that a thing? Do people eat lamb? Because I looked at the lamb first and I was like, how could anyone eat this? It's so sweet. Like, and then I realized I've eaten lamb over rice for like my entire life. And then I also realized, wait a second, lamb chops are a thing. So like, there's so many realizations we've had this year or this week. Forget this year. That's why we can't miss the market open because we have to keep learning about everything going on. All right, cool. That's it. Thank you everybody for being here. I've got to go figure out how to respond to this girl because I have no idea what to say to this thing. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Won't be back for the market close today. I'll be back market open tomorrow. I will have a video probably in like 3-4 hours about the 2 new deals Palantir got. So we'll go more in depth on that. And we'll be back 8:45 a.m. tomorrow for the market opening. Keep going from there. Please make sure to follow on Twitter. You will see why I'm in New York. It is Palantir related. It's not that big of a deal, but you guys will see why I'm there in New York today. All right. Don't send her money. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good one. And we'll see you tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everyone. Love you all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.